trail by 2-1. Stenhousemuir 4, Clackner-Cuddin 1 and Stranraer-Clydebank 2-1. Again, that's in extra time. From the Scottish Cup to Pep Guardiola, live on Sports Report with Gary Flintoff.
The dancing Pep Guardiola. Pep, congratulations. That was a great way to win the game. Was it a relief to win, or was it an enjoyable match to watch?
Well, it's a relief. At the end, we won. The situation that we had in the Premier League, we know what's going on. So I think as it was not a perfect first half. We were a little bit too I would say we lose some balls, but the result, we didn't concede one shot and we create to make 4 or 5, the game will be over. And after the second half, they changed the system, Daniel. They made 5-3-2 and we concede the goal first, and we have to adjust the way the press, and we are struggling in that moment. And after the 2-2, we make a step up, we put more players at the end, in the box. With Omar, with Phil, with Ryan and everyone there, and we create enough chances to score the third, and at the end the quality from Phil that we're happy is back, and again with 2 goals and the quality in the finishing. And yeah, we took the 3 points. You see the game in general, so the first half should be over. And in the Premier League, when you concede the third, it's never over, never. But sometimes win that game is necessary, and yeah, today we sleep second in the table, and I keep going.
I mean, ultimately, how important do you feel it was to take all 3 points today?
It's a business, no? So this is a business, and when you win you score a goal, so always how you win the games is important for the next one. On Tuesday, a real tough game, but yeah, the players did everything, and happy for that.
Thanks for joining us on Sports Report. Thank you.
Pep Guardiola live with Gary Flintoff. Now, the big racing story of the day came with Constitution Hill. The former champion hurdler won his first 10 races, but on his comeback in the fighting fifth hurdle at Newcastle, he fell. So that means he's now fallen 3 times in 4 outings. Here's John Hunt.
Well, indeed, Mark, what happened to Constitution Hill remains the hottest topic in racing. He jumped the first flight of hurdles splendidly today, but then at the second, he either panicked or simply got too brave and hit the hurdle with his front legs before tumbling to the ground. His rider, Nico de Bonville, punched the ground in disappointment before watching his main rival, the New Lion, also fall late on, and then champion hurdler Golden Ace eventually winning from Amsterdam, a length and a half away in second place. Constitution Hill's trainer, Nicky Henderson, watched the fall from Newbury and spoke in the immediate aftermath, and you can tell that he was perplexed, dismayed and emotional about what he had just witnessed.
I don't know where to go, what to do. I couldn't be responsible for asking him to jump a fence if something happened and he got hurt. And that's the issue that comes into it. It's beyond belief, to be fair. Yeah, it really is. So the only thing that matters, they're both okay, but it seems horribly unfair on everybody. I mean, as you can imagine, the work and everything that's gone in is, we really thought we were on top of everything.
Events at Newcastle certainly overshadowed the build-up to the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury. That race too was full of drama. There was a ragbag start with the well-fancied The Doyen Chief left behind before a fence was jumped. The favourite Moortown fell when leading just before halfway. But then Panic Attack, a remarkable mare, eventually galloped clear to beat 3-Card Bragg by 6.5 lengths, with the Changing Man third and Gorgeous Tom fourth. So another major race for trainer Dan Skelton, who is having an incredible season, but who, like Henderson, also witnessed his star hurdler, the New Lion, fall at Newcastle. Panic Attack becomes the first horse for 45 years to land the Paddy Power Gold Cup at Cheltenham and the Coral Gold Cup in the same season.
Thank you, John. Now, Oscar Piastri won the sprint race earlier in Qatar, so that means Lando Norris has a 22-point lead over his teammate Max Verstappen, 25 points off Norris. Qualifying for tomorrow's Grand Prix starts at 6 on Sports Extra. Harry Benjamin.
Yeah, but Qatar has so far been the Oscar Piastri show. He's got strong form around here and followed that up with the full 8 points in the sprint earlier on. Lando Norris still with that sizable advantage now, but if he wins the Grand Prix on Sunday, he will be champion. But important to put a crucial lap together to stay ahead of his rivals in qualifying under the lights at the Losail International Circuit.
So Sports Extra, if you want to listen to that, the Principality where Wales have been thrashed, Molly.
Oh, thrashed. That's a good word for it, yeah. The world champions inflicting a record home defeat on Wales. From a South African perspective, 11 tries, they ran the show in every single area. That's why they're the best in the world and haven't lost a game all year. But for Wales, what can you say? It's an absolute mess. They were without some of their best players, but what I think seemed most disappointing was the way in which they played the game into the Springboks' hands and lacking in areas where they could have taken some control, like discipline. Miserable day. Wales 0, South Africa 73.
In the Gallagher Prem earlier, Gloucester 26, Quins 15. In the Women's Premiership, Loughborough 50, Leicester 15. Saracens beat Trailfinders 57-5. In the Rugby Championship, Lions beat Bulls 43-33. Cardiff won 29-14 away to Zebra. To the opening day of the UK snooker, Jamie Broughton.
And the defending champion, Judd Trump, beat Stephen Maguire by 6 frames to 4. Trump was 3-1 up at one stage. Maguire then threatened a famous comeback to level at 3-all. He knocked in breaks of 111 and 82. He then had further chances but couldn't take enough of them, and Trump wrapped up the win. He now plays COYI.
Sports Extra 2 has commentary of England-China at Wembley. Katie Smith.
Sarina Wiegman not making as many changes as perhaps we expected as the Lionesses return to Wembley for the first time since defending their European crown this summer. Sold out, 80,000 inside. News this morning that goalkeeper Kiara Keating's withdrawn from the squad with a minor injury. Hannah Hampton already out. So the big news, Orlando Pride's #1 Anna Morehouse making her debut in goal at the age of 30, just kicking off 0-0.
St Johnstone have gone out to the Scottish Cup to Cove Rangers 2-1. Barlowtown 2, Cardiff 2. Britain 2, Flint 2, Colwyn Bay 5, Pennybont 4 in the Welsh Premier. And in the Northern Irish Premiership, if I can find the scores, I can't find them at the moment, so I'll tell you what I'll do them at half-time of Newcastle's trip to Everton. Mike Mino.
Mark, thank you. Welcome to Merseyside, where the players will be very glad that the rain has stopped. The drizzle that has penetrated the northwest for most of this afternoon, most of the day really, has finally stopped, and it should make the surface nice and slick. And already the palms of Jordan Pickford have been tested. Low shot from Anthony Elanga straight away from kickoff. He ran down the right hand side, pushed it around the post, giving Newcastle a corner on the far side. Ball goes in straight from the header of Malik Chow, and Newcastle inside 55 seconds have taken the lead at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Corner from Newcastle's left. Chow was in the 6-yard box, glances it on into the right-hand side, and if Phil Foden had claimed the title for the quickest goal in the Premier League this season, Malik Chow has just stolen it from him. Everton 0, Newcastle 1.
What a start from Newcastle. Everton absolutely shell-shocked. Half the Everton players, majority of the Everton players haven't even touched the ball yet. Straight from kickoff, they went down towards the Everton goal. Anthony Elanga, 1-on-1 with Jordan Pickford. He gets the corner, and it's a wonderful in-swinging corner into the 6-yard box. Causes the Everton defence all kinds of problems. And Malik Chow, he rises the highest above James Tarkowski, in between him and Michael Keane. Glances it into the bottom left-hand corner of Jordan Pickford's goal. Nothing the Everton goalkeeper can do. What a wonderful start for Newcastle.
A club plagued by terrible away form this season. They're yet to win in the Premier League, just the one win on the road for the Geordies this season so far, and that came in the Champions League in Belgium against Union Saint-Gilloise. Well, if there's any way to start to get over that poor form, it is score with inside the first minute and give your side the positive boost they need. Malik Chow's first goal for Newcastle.
It was actually a really good save from Jordan Pickford that led to the goal, that led to the corner kick. Newcastle made a really bright start. Anthony Elanga starting today on the right-hand side, on the right wing. He got the wrong side of Mikalenko on the angle about 12 yards out. Fires it low and hard across Pickford. He makes a really good save. But then the Everton defence just switch off from the in-swinging corner. And it's a superb start for Newcastle. And those travelling fans away to our left.
Tucked away in the corner over on the northwest side of the ground from where we're sat, high up on the main stand of the brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium. Newcastle operating sharply early on, try and force their way forward in the Everton half once again. Everton in those royal blue shirts, the white shorts and blue socks are right to left in this first half, and Kiernan Dewsbury Hall now starts to get Everton into their first attack of the game, into the penalty area on the right hand side. Dewsbury Hall just hangs back a little bit from Iliman Ndiaye, who rolls himself out towards the corner, trying to twist and turn up against Hall of Newcastle United in that left-back position. We'll run you through the two teams when we get a chance, but it's been a fast-paced start here on Merseyside. The give and go, but Shrewsbury Hall chooses not to return it to his teammate. Here's Irabun, one of those two changes made by David Moyes ahead of the game. Jack Grealish just creeps forward, level with the left corner of the penalty area on the near side. He loses out, he's challenged, and then he slips trying to work out where the ball's gone. And Lewis Miley can bring the ball away for Newcastle United. Forward to Nick Waltermada, who turns on the edge of the centre circle inside the Everton half. Good recovery from Njai, and the home side are back in possession.
What a lively start it's been to this game. Everton just trying to get a foothold in the game, trying to retain possession. Michael Keane now trying to rotate the ball to Mikalenko. It was a really good start from Newcastle. The changes that Eddie Howe's made to his side today, and you're going to run through the changes in a minute, but there are a number of them, 6 in total, I think. Started extremely well for Eddie Howe. They've come out with a really poor away form, won in their last 11 away in all competitions, so it was a big start for them.
Certainly has been. Malik Chow's goal. We've played 4 minutes. Everton 0, Newcastle 1. And it's almost like the stadium screen operators here at the Hill Dickinson Stadium predicted that as well, because before kick-off they flashed up a test of the scoreline on screen, and it had Newcastle winning by a goal to 0. So a bright and lively start. 55 seconds is how quick Malik Chow has given Newcastle the lead here on the banks of the River Mersey. Everton intercept the ball just before the halfway line inside the Newcastle half. James Garner inside the centre circle, just steadying himself down, steadying Everton down. They need to get on the ball and just calm down. The advantage for them is Malik Chow scoring inside the first minute. There's still 89 minutes to recover this game.
Something to notice immediately different about Newcastle away from home. They're playing a 4-5-1 formation. Harvey Barnes and Anthony Elanga are dropping in alongside Guimaraes, Miley and Joe Linton, who will be a central midfield 3 when they're out of possession, and Nick Voltemade will cut a lonely figure on his own in front of that midfield 5.
So 5.5 minutes played. Everton 0, Newcastle United 1. 2 changes for Everton. With Seamus Coleman injured and Idrissa Gueye suspended, having struck his own teammate on the face in that win over Manchester United on Monday night. So Jake O'Brien comes in to the defence. Irabunam is chosen in midfield. So Pickford is their goalkeeper. O'Brien, Tarkowski, Keane and Mikalenko the back 4. Garner and Irabunam hold the midfield. And Jai, Shrewsbury Hall and Grealish operate just behind Barry up front for David Moyes' side, who's just retreated to speak to his staff in their dugout down towards the right-hand side of the halfway line. Newcastle go long. Nick Voltemada's got a lot of work to do in the corner on that far side, awaits for the support. Newcastle in their green away kit this evening, green shirts and shorts with white socks to boot. The cross comes in from the left-hand side, headed away by Tarkowski out towards the far side touchline, and Jai tries to backheel it to keep it in play. He can't. So Newcastle, 6 changes. Chow, Byrne, Guimaraes, Livramento and Barnes are the only ones that remain from the Marseille defeat in the Champions League on Tuesday night. The big change is in goal. Nick Pope, whose performance was questioned in France in midweek, is injured, we are told. That's the official line from the club. So Aaron Ramsdale starts in the Premier League for the first time for Newcastle United. Livramento, Chow, Byrne and Hall are there, back 4. As Elanga just pushes it down the inside right channel for Livramento's continued his run. Little touch comes off Mikalenko, and that gives Newcastle another corner. The rest of their team, Miley, Guimaraes and Joe Linton, and then it's Elanga and Barnes either side of Voltemade.
They've had some good early joy down this right-hand side of Newcastle. Livramento playing in his more favoured position at the right full-back, with Guimaraes tucking in on the right-hand side. The link-up play between Livramento and Elanga has already proven a source of joy for Newcastle as they get this corner down on this side.
So corner which Lewis Hall will take, swings it in towards the near post. Everton are able to see that clear up towards the halfway line, but had everybody back, so it's an easy recovery for Livramento. And Aaron Ramsdale, all in what, a light shade of purple, the Newcastle goalkeeper tonight, almost a pinky purple, isn't it, is able to clear it long, and they've swung the ball into the box, and Harvey Barnes takes the shot, which deflects wide, well wide in the end of Jordan Pickford's right-hand post, and goes behind for a Newcastle corner. Harvey Barnes is in form. You'd have backed him to score there, but the block comes in and it's a Newcastle set piece instead.
The Everton defence are all over the place at the moment. Newcastle are picking holes at will. This time it's down the left-hand side. Lovely ball in to Harvey Barnes on his left foot, 6 yards out on the angle. It's Michael Keane who actually gets across and makes a lovely block just in front of Jordan Pickford, because that was heading towards the bottom corner.
So Hall goes with the corner again. He's put that right under the crossbar and Pickford clawed at it. There's a foul given by the referee, Craig Pawson, inside that 6-yard box. Dan Burn was flying in there. It's gone behind for a goal kick anyway, so Everton can have a momentary relief. 9 minutes played, Everton 0, Newcastle 1. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, they're causing problems as well from set plays, Newcastle. You can see it's something that they've clearly worked on. I think there's a weakness there from Everton. Almost everyone piled in the 6-yard box, and it's one of those corners swung in right under the crossbar, right under Jordan Pickford's crossbar. All the bodies pile in. Dan Burn, I think it is, that clatters everybody, puts about 4 players in the back of the net. Get the free kick in the end, Everton, but Newcastle have been superb from the start.
Now it's Everton's turn to try and respond on the right-hand touchline. Midway inside the Newcastle half is Iliman Ndiaye. He gets a good cross in towards Barry. Livramento takes no chances, kicks it straight behind for a corner, just beyond the head of Barry.
Better from Everton, Ndiaye and Grealish in the wide areas. They've got to look to make the pitch big, get some joy in those wide areas.
Everton go quickly with the corner, doesn't work out. They've had to settle for a throw-in instead. So nearly 10 minutes played, Newcastle leading by a goal to nil. First time since 2022 that Everton have come into this fixture above Newcastle in the table. But with Newcastle's lead that they have at the moment, Newcastle leapfrog them and go one place above them. Everton throw from the left-hand side, the near side. It is flicked out by 2 Newcastle heads, bounces once awkwardly. Elanga is trying to get some control on it and set Newcastle on their way. He can't. So Everton playing out towards this near side again. Mikalenko with a floating, hanging ball in, and then Keane deflects behind for a corner. Keane met that on the half volley, edge of the penalty area, central, caught it nicely enough, but Newcastle bodies in the way, and it's going to be a Toffee's corner on the far side.
I tell you what, that was on its way from Michael Keane. We know he's a good striker of a ball. He's a good diagonal ball, and here's a sentence that you won't hear very often. Tarkowski chests it down in the 18-yard box to Michael Keane, who strikes on the half volley, and it takes a deflection and goes for a corner. The 2 centre-halves looked like expert centre-forwards at that point. It was a lovely piece of play.
Unlikely assist, would have been unlikely goal scorer. Everton corner from the far side, in swinging towards Barry. The header's looping onto the roof of the net. And it will be a goal kick to Newcastle. But that's pleasing to the Everton fans who, despite being sat in their seats, some of them with their arms folded and certainly their bobble hats and scarves on this evening, do give a warm round of applause. Their team fighting to get level. 11 minutes played, Newcastle leading by a goal to nil.
And it's a great atmosphere inside the stadium, isn't it? I know we've talked about it a lot on 5 Live this season. Covered a lot of games here, but this is my first visit here, and you cannot help but be impressed. It's a wonderful stadium and a wonderful atmosphere, it really is.
They've architecturally done it brilliantly. You've still got the brickwork pattern on the outside, rising up to the roof, which keeps it in the feel of the Liverpool dockyards. It is right on the River Mersey. And you've got the nice modern finish with the metalwork roof that surrounds this stadium. And inside, on those laser blue seats, it is a steep banked stadium, looping round on all 4 sides, and that really does make it quite a hostile atmosphere. Goodison Park could be the same, and they've obviously tried to keep that as they come here.
It's a lovely description. Are you after Dion's job?
It is the master of Ian Dennis that we learn from. Everton attacking, Garner through to Grealish, left of the penalty area, and he'll look for the support to lay it back to. Can't find one man, but then Garner, curling shot, never get the curl on it. It goes wide. Newcastle goal kick. There has been a goal at Wembley. England taking on China, women's international this evening, and Katie Smith can bring us up to date.
And it's the European champions that leads the Asian champions. England 1, China 0. It was China who started the brightest, but England starting to find really lovely pockets of space in the last 6 or 7 minutes. Lucy Bronze with the work up the right-hand side. First time she crosses in, scuffed header by Alessia Russo. Second time she tries it, finds the right foot of Beth Mead, tucks it home. England 1, China 0.
Katie, thank you. We will keep you up to date with that. You can listen to it on Sports Extra 2 right now. On Sports Extra in around about 15 minutes time or so. Build up and action from Qatar, qualifying for tomorrow's Qatar Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri winning the sprint race earlier today. He's taken 2 points out of Lando Norris's lead. So he leads fractionally slightly less Lando Norris, but a win in Qatar will give him the championship tomorrow. Everton try and get control on the halfway line, and Dye wriggles his way inside and then plays it across the centre circle, but it was too easily read and cut out by Anthony Elanga. Newcastle, Livramento heavy touch, just gives the ball back to Mykolenko, and Pickford can send that long out towards Jack Grealish. Control isn't the best with his bright orange boots, but he keeps it in on the near side touchline, and Mykolenko just calmly knocks it back to Michael Keane. 1-0 Newcastle.
Well, what Newcastle have done well is that midfield five, what I talked about. They've flooded the midfield, and Everton found it hard to get any kind of momentum going and rhythm and get the ball moving forward because the green shirts are all over them in the middle of the park.
There's been another goal at Wembley. Katie Smith.
England are loving their homecoming, playing at Wembley for the first time since defending their European crown this summer. England 2, China 0. Toon with the cross from the left-hand side, and Beth Mead, a second goal in 2 minutes. It's England 2, China 0.
Thank you, Katie. So, fast start for England. We've seen fast starts everywhere. Not always successfully today. Newcastle leading as they are by a goal to 0. Came inside the first minute from Malik Chow. Manchester City scored early this afternoon, were then pegged back by Leeds to 2-2 before Phil Foden won it late. Bournemouth 2-0 up on Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, but the Black Cats certainly not unlucky. They have come back once again, and once more Brobby the hero, just like he was against Arsenal a few weeks ago. He's won the game, so Sunderland have beaten Bournemouth by 3-2 this afternoon. Brentford 3-1 winners, all those goals coming late on against Burnley at the G-Tech. Everton have won a free kick here, very central. Jack Grealish wants to take it quickly. Newcastle players giving him no room to take that free kick. Referee's called it back. Everton will have to think again, but the free kick is pretty central, midway inside the Newcastle half.
Yeah, they're still going. Bruno Guimaraes and Jack Grealish didn't like the challenge. Grealish told Guimaraes as much, and they both walked away pushing and shoving each other. Heads were almost together at one point. Better from Everton, though. They've got a free kick in a decent position now, which they've taken.
And cleverly so to Jack Grealish on the left of the penalty area. He's put it into the 6-yard box. I think it was Nick Voltemade sliding in there to make sure that an Everton shirt didn't get hold of the ball in a dangerous position. Support from the Everton crowd, some of them on their feet. This is James Garner. Everton a little bit more controlled, and he uses James Tarkowski. Newcastle have fanned out a little bit from the free kick in those green shirts of theirs. They're away strip this afternoon. Mykolenko, the left back, he's now playing on the right-hand side of the field because Everton haven't managed to readjust themselves after that free kick, because they're still in possession. Here is Mykolenko, and here is another goal at Wembley, Katie Smith.
England are absolutely flying. The 80,000 here don't know what to do. They barely sat down before they're up and celebrating it again. England 3, China 0. This time Lauren Hem back for injury, playing for England for the first time since the Euros this summer, sliding it home. Another beautiful team move from the Lionesses. England 3, China 0.
England going well. 16 minutes played here. Newcastle going well. They're leading by a goal to 0.
Yeah, Everton are just starting to get back into the game after the early shock that they had from the very start. Starting to keep possession a little bit more. Newcastle very rigid in this defensive shape when they're out of possession. The thing I've noticed for Everton so far is that everything's been very central within the width of the 18-yard box, not really made the pitch big within Dye and Grealish. Every time Grealish has got the ball, looked to cut inside on his right foot, which is obviously natural to him.
Grealish slides it on through. Dewsbury Hall also sliding. Dan Burn matches that, blocks it, behind it goes for a corner. Everton working that left-hand side of the penalty area well, particularly through the magic of Jack Grealish.
Yeah, and as we say about Jack Grealish there, cutting inside, he does exactly that. Ball into him from Barry. He's got a little bit of space, creates more space for himself, and he slips the ball between 2-3 Newcastle defenders into the path of Dewsbury Hall. Hits a sliding Dan Burn as he crossed the 6-yard box and out for a corner.
Which is to Everton on this near side, in swinging right into the 6-yard box. It is Grealish who brings it down for Everton. He'll have to turn away from goal, lays it to the edge of the D for Dewsbury Hall. He pushes it back out to James Garner, the corner taker, drifting cross in, arcing into the penalty area from this near side, the left, and it is dealt with by Newcastle, but Everton still in possession, edge of the centre circle for Vitaly Mykolenko. 5 live from the Hill Dickinson Stadium this evening, where Newcastle lead by a goal to 0. Mykolenko sends it up towards the right-hand side. One header is an Everton one. Then it's Dan Burns' turn to get it away. Lewis Hall tries to bring it down. Showed too much of the ball to James Tarkowski. Newcastle think that went over the touchline. Linesman's very close to it and remains unmoved, and now this is gone, a central position. Everton feeling a sense of momentum here. That was until Anthony Elanga stepped in. Both him and Jack Grealish slide for the ball. Referee says throw in to Everton initially, and then I think the linesman on this near side has said no, that's a Newcastle throw. David Moyes is angry about it, and Jack Grealish has run all the way to the halfway line to have a word with the linesman.
I agree with you. I think that Jack Grealish did superbly well. He looked like he was chasing what was a lost cause. Anthony Elanga just letting the ball run out. And looking at the replay now, Jack Grealish, he hooks his right foot around the lost cause, plays it back against Anthony Elanga. Referee, who was the closer out of the two, the assistant on this near side, was further away than the referee. Referee gave the throw into Everton, the assistant gave it to Newcastle. Wrong decision. The referee should have given the throw into Everton. He should have stuck with his original decision.
Yeah, Jack Grealish, David Moyes have every right to be slightly furious about that, because Everton have grown into this game, conceded the early goal inside the first minute to Malik Chow. Some concern for Joe Linton here, who's having his right knee tested, his right leg stretched by the medic. He's got his back lying down on the floor, but Everton, having gone behind early, haven't let that affect them too much, and they are getting back into this game.
Yeah, it's a worrying one for Joe Linton, because he's gone down with nobody around him. Physio's come on, looked at his right knee, I think. He's hobbling off towards us on this near touchline, just giving David Moyes an opportunity to do that team huddle like we see when there's a break in play, when the teams come over for a drink. Pass some communication, some instructions. He's down beneath us now talking to Jordan Pickford. Quite an intense conversation by the look of it. Maybe a little restructuring after the early scare, but they've certainly got themselves back into the game, Everton. For the 5 minutes it took them to warm up into the game, they've had the better of the chances. And Newcastle, when they are attacked, there is that fragility. They're a completely different side away from home than they have been at St James's Park this season.
So Joe Linton moves to the side of the pitch. Eddie Howe's just had a chat with him. Scored in Newcastle's last win at Everton. Did Joe Linton. Came all the way back in April 2023. A 4-1 win at Goodison Park. Many teams coming to the Hill Dickinson Stadium for the very first time. This modern arena right on the River Mersey. Here's Jack Grealish. Newcastle leading by a goal to nil after 20 minutes. Grealish just waited for Mykolenko to get onside. Mykolenko's cross from the left is easily dealt with by Newcastle. Now Elanga, we know he's got the pace. Jack Grealish is trying to go back with him. Elanga is able to force the ball out towards the left-hand side. He's down on the deck, thinks he got a touch as he played the ball, wants the free kick. Newcastle still in possession.
If they are going to play deep now, they've got the goal up. Newcastle, if they are going to sit and invite Everton onto them, players like Elanga with his pace in behind on the turnover of possession are going to be a threat. Elanga and Harvey Barnes on the left-hand side, they will look to use those type of players on the counter-attack.
Anthony Elanga yet to score this season since his big money move from Nottingham Forest in the summer.
Surprised the amount of changes that Eddie Howe's made from the midweek game, I really am. When you look at players like Fabian Schär, Tonali and Anthony Gordon, those two in particular, who you would expect if they were fully fit would start the game, find themselves sat on the bench today. A number of changes, obviously, including the big change in goal.
Well, if it works, he's a genius. If it doesn't work, then I'm sure Chris Sykes, our producer, will be asking many questions to Eddie Howe, not least about Nick Pope's situation with the World Cup draw on Friday. You can hear that on BBC Radio 5 Live. Also watch it on the iPlayer with Kelly Cates. Lovely ball through to Dewsbury Hall, played from the left-hand side. Here's Irabunam, he's trying to take on Dan Burn. He's got round in, and the deflection off Bruno Guimaraes carries it into Aaron Ramsdale's hands. There are appeals from the Everton fans behind that goal, that maybe there was a hand in there from Bruno Guimaraes. We'll wait to check the replays on that one. VAR can, of course, check in the background. For now, play continues, Paul Robinson.
I think it was in more hope than expectation from the Everton fans behind the goal. It was a cross like a lifted to the far post. It hit the underneath of Guimaraes' boot and then bounced up. And I'm not so sure there was even any contact with his arm. I think that one will be okay.
Yeah, play certainly has continued with the referee not finding a need to stop it. Mykolenko sees that one out for Newcastle throw-in right in front of David Moyes, 10 yards or so inside the Everton half. Home side right to left in the opening 45 minutes. Newcastle from left to right. So the throw-in taken by Livramento on this near side. Back to the goal scorer, Malik Chow. The summer move from AC Milan, and Newcastle play it dangerously across the back, but Miley's there to help them out, and they survive a nervy moment with Everton going for the high press. Now it's Irabunam all over Lewis Miley. He flicks it up beautifully, chips it down the right-hand touchline. Livramento controls well. Now Nick Voltemada, who is far back from where he'd want to be, as Newcastle start to look forward here. Haven't really had an attack since they took the lead. They've done what they need to do. They lead Everton by a goal to nil. We're past the midway point of this first half on BBC Radio 5 Live. 23 minutes gone. Newcastle now starting to string passes together. Everton's defence has got to be careful here. O'Brien had to be decisive. Everton looked half asleep there, and O'Brien didn't realise what was behind him and just had to belt it into the south stand away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, Lewis Miley finds himself in a lot of space in the middle of the pitch, and he looks to thread a ball in between Michael Keane and Jake O'Brien, the right back. He does that. Jake O'Brien's unaware of the presence, I think, of Harvey Barnes on his left-hand side. Lets the ball run across him and almost sweeps the ball out to play.
Last time the corner was out on that far side, Newcastle scored from it. It's Dan Burn who gets the header, but he heads it actually away from goal and up in the air. Newcastle first to the loose ball as it exits the penalty area. Back it goes to Aaron Ramsdale, who's closer to the centre circle than he is to his own box. Elanga, there's been another goal at Wembley, will be there in a moment. Here's Elanga cantering towards the right corner of the box. Then he puts a cross in. Heavy touch by Irabunam, I think it was, has given Newcastle the ball back. Barnes tries to square it to Voltemada. There's Livramento, wild shot from him. Then it comes to Miley, and it finds a way through. And Newcastle United have doubled their lead. Maybe they are heading for their first Premier League away win of the season. It is Lewis Miley bouncing the ball down into the ground. And Pickford got a touch, but it wasn't a convincing one. He's got a sarcastic smile on his face like he can't believe it. The Newcastle players mob Lewis Miley, and it is Everton 0, Newcastle 2.
Oh, what a defensive mess from an Everton point of view. A number of opportunities to clear the ball. Anthony Elanga again on this right-hand side. The ball goes in. Michael Keane half clears it. Comes back to Livramento. Harvey Barnes keeps the ball alive. And then it's Mikalenko half clears it. It's bobbling around. It's a real mess. And then Livramento strikes and it looks like it's going out for a goal kick on the far left-hand side. Deflected again back into the middle by Dan Burn. Lewis Miley strikes it with his left foot. It's an awful strike. It's bobbling. He hits it into the ground. Bobbles through bodies, bobbles through Tarkowski and Keane. Jordan Pickford goes to pat it down with two hands, makes a real mess of it, the England goalkeeper. He actually pats it on his palms between his own legs. Everton defensively are an absolute shambles at the moment. That is a goal that none of the Everton defenders nor goalkeeper will want to see again. David Moyes down beneath is on the monitors, got a face like thunder. Jordan Pickford's made a real mess of that, he really has.
Stands with his hands on his hips. James Tarkowski, I think, was asking questions of the England #1 goalkeeper. We go back to that World Cup draw, we go back to the talking point with the Newcastle United goalkeepers today. Nick Pope injured and Aaron Ramsdale's chance to impress. So Thomas Tuchel, watching on, will have 3 goalkeepers that he might have been expecting to have a look at this evening. And in fact, it's his #1 that's got some questionable goalkeeping errors to his name tonight.
Listen, it was a poor mistake from the goalkeeper. He should have done better. But there's no conversation about his England #1 spot for me. You look at his record: 81 caps, 71 of them competitive caps, 26 in major tournaments, 26 in qualifiers. Nobody more qualified to do that job. Yes, that was a mistake, but his England jersey is not under threat.
There's Barnes, left corner of the penalty area. We'll get to Wembley in a minute where there's been another goal, but Newcastle on the attack again, leading as they are by 2-0. They've had effectively 2 efforts at Jordan Pickford's goal, and they've scored them both so far. Joe Linton back to the halfway line. We'll go back to Wembley, Katie.
Where it is now England 4, China 0. England in party mode. China have been poor this time. Lauren Hemp winning the ball over on the far left-hand side, crosses it in from the byline, palmed away by keeper Pan, but into the path of Georgia Stanway, who slams it in at the far post. England 4, China 0.
Thank you, Katie. That's available for you now on Sports Extra 2. If you get the BBC Sounds app, you can flick across the dial. And you'll get 5 Live, you'll get Sports Extra, and then these 2 other streaming platforms are Sports Extra 2 and 3. And when there's live sport, that is often where you can find it as well. For example, tomorrow, West Ham Liverpool is at 2 o'clock on BBC Radio 5 Live on Sports Extra 2. It'll be Nottingham Forest against Brighton on Sports Extra 3, the West Midlands derby between Aston Villa and Wolves. More live football than ever before on BBC Sounds. So make sure you've got the app. Here come Newcastle United with Lewis Hall having a go. Left-footed, the left back getting forward, left of the D. And his shot takes a deflection and goes out for a Newcastle corner, far side.
That was the two fullbacks combining, and he's really unlucky there, Lewis Hall. Looking at the replay, it's the top of the crossbar. Michael Keane and James Tarkowski having words with each other. The Everton defence, all at sea, they really are. They lose possession, and on the turnover possession, Newcastle are extremely quick, and it's Livramento who plays the ball to Lewis Hall on his left foot. He takes a deflection off Michael Keane, loops up and over Jordan Pickford. He's beaten again, the Everton goalkeeper, hits the crossbar and goes out for another corner. Offensively, Everton have been okay, but defensively, they've been awful.
Approaching the half-hour mark, Newcastle corner far side, in swinging. It is the head of O'Brien, and there was pushing and shoving in there anyway, so it has been given as an Everton free kick inside their own penalty area.
I don't think David Moyes would have seen this coming today from his team. I mean, you look at the win last time out against Manchester United, clean sheet. A win last time they were here, 2-0 against Fulham, a clean sheet. Looking for the third clean sheet in a row, and they're already 2 down with only 30 minutes played, but obviously avoidable goals as well. You know, the set play, very, very avoidable. Free header inside the 6-yard box. And then the second goal there, far too many mistakes and far too many opportunities for Everton to actually clear the danger. And if they are to get anything today, they're going to have to do it the hard way now.
Well, Everton came into this game having their best start to a season after 12 games for 4 years when Carlo Ancelotti was the manager. Newcastle, despite all that's been made about them, only 3 points worse off after 12 games. That's a good ball into the box, left-hand side for Barry to chase. Byrne has the strength, has the know-how, has the body position, and can just shield that ball out for a goal kick, and he gets low fives off Aaron Ramsdale and also off his defensive teammates as well.
It's a really good piece of defensive work from Dan Byrne. Ball slipped down the side of him, he's kind of out of position, very quickly alters his position, gets back goal side, doesn't have to do much, he just ushers Barry out of play. It's a heavy first touch from Barry with his left foot. Dan Byrne just steps across him, puts his left arm and shoulder out and says, no, not today.
So half an hour played, 5 live, Everton 0, Newcastle 2. Everton went behind inside the first minute, got back into the game, and if you were to say around about the 20-minute mark who was going to score next, it probably would have been the home side, but Newcastle, in a moment of fortune and some lucky play in the way the shots fell from Livramento into the path of Byrne, and then Lewis Miley's strike on out, 2 goals up. You can watch it all back on Match of the Day tonight from 10:30 with Gabby Logan, Joe Hart, Danny Murphy in the chairs this evening. Also highlights of Brentford beating Burnley by 3-1, Manchester City's late win over Leeds by 3-2, and Sunderland's comeback win over Bournemouth, 2-0 down. They won at the Stadium Light by 3-2. We've got 14 minutes to half-time here. Everton trailing by 2-0. Mikalenko back to the halfway line for Michael Keane.
We normally have a conversation about who's going to be last on Match of the Day, don't we? We see which game's going to be the last pick. Tonight there's a race to be the first. I mean, there's been some incredible games today, and this one's by far from over.
And we're not done yet in Premier League terms. We'll have reports later from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when Spurs host Fulham from 8 o'clock. We'll bring you team news. Here's Everton's chance to get back in the game, or at least it was. Barry down the middle. It hit the back of his heel, not the front of his heel, and the ball goes the wrong direction, and Everton lose a promising bit of attacking play, and now it's Newcastle's turn. Down the far side left to try and get themselves up the field. Here's Harvey Barnes, uses Hall as an outlet. He just flicks it with the outside of his boot to Joe Linton. Hall again, now he's lost it. Showed far too much to Iliman Ndiaye. He missed his footing a little bit, and now Ndiaye can try and give it to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall on the right-hand side, who's got 2 Newcastle players around him, yet with a little swivel can get away from those. Now Jack Grealish. David Moyes wants to see Grealish add goals to his games, but he'll be happy trying to assist them if he can. Foot race between Byrne and Grealish out towards the right-hand side. Everton weren't on the same page there as the ball was played out to a flat-footed and almost stalled Jack Grealish, and Newcastle have a reprieve once again.
He'd stopped his run, Jack Grealish. It was a good little interchange between Garner and Ndiaye. Ndiaye looked for Jack Grealish. He thought that he continued his run on the outside. He hadn't. He'd looked to stay and try and regain possession. Maybe not as quick as Everton wanted to be. It's a little bit clunky, isn't it, from Everton? They've not really managed to get anything going The 2 goals for them have come at the wrong time, just as they were getting a foothold into the game and looked like they were building up momentum. They've conceded again. Be an interesting team talk for David Moyes at half-time.
Well, they have got issues in midfield, Everton, and they've got a few injuries. Obviously, that added to by the fact that Merlin Rawle has now had to have an operation for a hernia, so he's out till January at least. They've got the suspension of Idrissa Gana Gueye from Monday night, and they'll miss him for 3 games. So is it Everton's midfield that's letting them down in this game?
I think, well, the defence as well, obviously. I mean, when you look at the goal back, the second goal, there was a number of errors. I mean, the amount of times that they had to clear it. I think Michael Keane, and on this right-hand side, Anthony Elanga has clearly got the beating of Mykolenko, got the ball far too easily into the box, rebounded back to Harvey Barnes. I just think it's the number of opportunities that Everton had to clear it, and then the mess that they found themselves in, and then Jordan Pickford doing what he did.
And here come Newcastle. Miley's crossed on the right-hand side. Headed away by Everton in the penalty area. Lewis Hall first to it, back to the halfway line for Dan Burn.
It was a tough one when you actually analyse it for Jordan Pickford to actually do what he did. I mean, he's gone down in almost the star shape, where you see the goalkeeper's going in the K shape, and he's trying to pat the ball down to take the sting out of it, but as he's patted it down, it's hit the underside of his palms and gone between his own legs. Granted, there was a couple of players in front of him on the 6-yard box. It may have had a slight deflection, but he didn't really get his full body behind it, and he made a real mess of it, in all honesty.
Chow with a crossfield lofted pass out towards the far side, the left. Chow, who got Newcastle in front after just 55 seconds. Now Bruno Guimaraes, and he gives it to Harvey Barnes, who's cantering in from the touchline, tries to get to the byline. Jake O'Brien, well-timed tackle, stands on his feet, wins the ball back, and then can send it up towards Barry. And Dye slips but keeps it in on the touchline and does really well to avoid Newcastle stealing in with Lewis Hall to win the ball back. Everton have it thrown on the halfway line.
Newcastle are celebrating defensive tackles like the goals at the moment. The away supporters to our left-hand side in the corner are getting very excited. Another good tackle there by Bruno Guimaraes in the middle of midfield. They look up for this Newcastle. They're biting into challenges. They're quick into the, trying to get the press. And they're in a very, very good shape. As you said, we're sat very high up here in the stadium, elevated, and you can look down and you can see the shape. And it's clearly a back 4 and midfield 5 out of possession. And the spaces between the units are what's keeping Everton away.
Elanga gives it to Mykolenko whilst trying to control the ball out of the air. Midway inside the Newcastle half, no foul given on Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, and Newcastle push it out towards the left-hand side with Lewis Hall. Newcastle, who've drawn 4 and lost 5 on the road this season, with 10 minutes to half-time here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Lead by 2-0. They have maintained their record as well as we hit 35 minutes. Newcastle, the only side this season not to concede in the opening half an hour of a game, and they're leading by 2-0. Malik Chow and Lewis Miley, perhaps the 2 unlikely goal scorers. Lots made of Lewis Miley from Newcastle fans on social media. Eddie Howe stuck by him, and he has certainly quietened a few critics with his goal tonight that has Newcastle 2 goals to the good. Jack Grealish left-hand side, back to Mykolenko, and back to Michael Keane just inside his own half.
I think you forget Lewis Miley's still only 19 years of age, an academy product, doing extremely well. I saw him play in the England under-21s at Birmingham on a Friday night a couple of weeks ago. He's an integral part of what they're doing at the moment, the new development under Lee Carsley, and I think he's going to have a big role to play at this club for a long time. And as I say, you forget, still only 19 years of age, starting Premier League games regularly.
And he was on Instagram this week picking up his brand new car as well, Lewis Miley. Newcastle on the road to success, leading as they are by 2-0, as are England, who are 4 to the good against China. And there's a penalty as well for Katie Smith.
Yeah, a chance to make it 5. VAR, a lengthy stoppage, but a review here to give England the penalty after a handball in the box from a Russo shot. It is Georgia Stanway standing over the ball, Pan in goal, all in green for China. This to make it 5-0 for England. She strikes low and she strikes true. Georgia Stanway with her second in this first half. It's England 5, China 0.
Thanks, Kate. England beat China 6-1 at the Women's World Cup a couple of years ago. Well on course to beat that by the sounds of what we're hearing in the first half from Katie at Wembley. Commentary of that right now on Sports Extra 2. On Sports Extra, qualifying underway for the Qatar Grand Prix, tomorrow's race, which could see Lando Norris win the world title for the very first time. A couple of F1 fans out on the pitch today. James Garner's a big F1 fan. Dan Burn was at the Spanish Grand Prix with a couple of his England teammates earlier this season as well.
Qatar this week, and then Abu Dhabi, is it, next week?
Straight after.
Still all to play for? 2
shots for Lando Norris to win the title, or maybe 2 shots for Oscar Piastri or Max Verstappen as well.
That's if they're not disqualified.
It's a touchy subject with McLaren, that one, I think. It's just opened up the World Championship and added a little bit more drama. Max Verstappen in the hunt for his 5th world title. Everton 0, Newcastle 2. I think either of these two might be going for the Premier League title this season, but both want to be looking in the top half of the table. 3 points this evening would certainly be doing that, and Newcastle on course, leading as they are by 2-0. Everton, you feel, could do with 1 before half-time.
Yeah, they need a way back into this game. I mean, we talked about Aaron Ramsdale coming into the side tonight. He's had very little, if anything, to do. Can't remember Everton creating anything of any note.
Hurried across in from the right-hand touchline there, Everton. It was always going to be ambitious to find one of 2 options in the box. Now it's swung in by Mykolenko from the left-hand side. That one's a little bit more threatening. Newcastle have hashed away the clearance, and Tim Irabunam has it back for the home side. Grealish just nudges it back, a little bit of space for Irabunam. Grealish is able to turn and look forward, midway inside the Newcastle half, out on this left-hand side. Here is Mykolenko, level with the corner of the box, but closer to the touchline. It's a bit slicker there from Everton, but Garner couldn't turn it out towards Grealish, and now it's Mykolenko once again. Here's Irabunam. Slow and steady and patient from Everton, but Newcastle are well organised.
Very well organised in a new, well, with the changes, the newish shape that they're playing within the midfield, and actually not many days since the Marseille game for Eddie Howe to work on this. That's probably the most impressive thing, the lack of time that they've had on the training ground, with the amount of games that players have now. There's more focus on recovery and preparation rather than, you know, looking forward to the next game and doing tactical work on the pitch.
Mykolenko, Irabunam. Everton in possession, but they're not worrying the Newcastle penalty area at the minute. It's all happening on the edge of the Geordie's defensive third, but nothing more than that as they try and play it down the left-hand touchline. Mykolenko's pass is blocked off by Tino Livramento. That's the little cue for a few Everton fans to go for a half-time refreshment. Will they stop on the stairs? There's maybe half a chance. Barnes, though, gets there before, and Dyer can hack it away and then goes chasing out for it by the touchline to hopefully release himself, and the ball on that far side, he can't, he's stopped. Brilliant defensive work from James Tarkowski sliding in. It'll be a Newcastle throw midway inside their own half.
Well, he had to get that right, James Tarkowski, because if Harvey Barnes had just nicked that over him, he was sliding off the pitch, and Harvey Barnes was away. I mean, he had half the length of the pitch still to go. Could have been a nasty challenge, or he could have got caught out, Tarkowski. Good piece of defending from the central defender.
Half-time, we'll be hearing from Ruben Diaz. After Manchester City won it late against Leeds, and be interesting to hear what Daniel Farke has to say. We'll hear from him as well. His side down and out at the break by all accounts. Passive, I think, was the word from Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton at half-time. And they came back 2-2 before Phil Foden won it late.
Yeah, I thought he was banging the pressure this week, Daniel Farke, but his side have produced a performance that would suggest he's not lost them.
Langer cut off by Mykolenko towards the Everton penalty area. It came from a nice back heel, whether he meant it or not, from Nick Voltemade. Not too sure he knew where the ball was or where his teammates were, but it did work for Elanga. Newcastle now have it on the far side left. 3.5 minutes to the break, leading as they are by 2-0. Here's Guimaraes. Now Miley out towards the left touchline. Jake O'Brien just almost in that crouching position, tries to shield him, but then Hall's managed to break free on the left-hand side. Looks for Voltemade in the 6-yard box. That's blocked by a host of blue shirts of Everton players. Now it comes to Guimaraes. She's sending it out towards Elanga. Voltemade gets his head on it. Everton fans a little panicked here by just how promising Newcastle look. Livramento, Elanga, short pass along the turf to Guimaraes, who was able to turn 180 and face infield, has Dewsbury Hall stride for stride with him. Now Elanga and Livramento combine, back with Elanga. Livramento just stood off the ball and provided a distraction. Newcastle have a throw.
They're getting a lot of joy, Newcastle, when they go forward. You just can't help believe that if they just play with that more belief and confidence in the final third, you can see this Everton defence creaking. Lewis Hall's been a constant threat down the left-hand side, cutting inside. That time he gets an opportunity to run into the 18-yard box. Michael Keane knows that he can't touch him. Comes to nothing in the end, but again, the ball's rotated out. Elanga on this right-hand side. You just feel in the wide areas, Newcastle have got the pace and the beating of this Everton defence.
Which is ironic, really, because it was Eddie Howe giving the praise to David Moyes and Everton for their wide play this season. Newcastle can't work the throw-in. Jordan Pickford bowls the ball underarm towards the right-hand side. Everton in their blue shirts, right to left as the first half has just a couple of minutes to run. Can't imagine there'll be too much added time either. Feels quite mild inside the stadium this evening. The drizzle has just started to fall again. The floodlights create a little haze on these winter evenings. Plenty of fans heading for the concourses as Everton come down the right. It's an early cross again from Ndiaye. Didn't really get off the ground and was blocked at source by Lewis Hall.
You say about Eddie Howe conscious of Everton's threat in the wide areas, and that's probably one of the reasons that he's actually played with that midfield five when they're out of possession. Normally we see Newcastle in quite an obvious 4-3-3, but with Gomeris, Miley and Joe Linton, when they're out of possession, they go narrow. Barnes and Elanga tuck in, and when they break, they've got the power and the pace in the wide areas to not allow the Everton wide players any joy going forward. It pushes them back in the other direction.
Jake O'Brien, long throw, headed out of the box by Malik Chow. Garner steps in, Everton have won it back, and Jai pushes it to the right-hand side. It'll be Jake O'Brien's cross that deflects up into the air, and Aaron Ramsdale makes a good call. The ball was in the air for a while, but he caught it with two hands and can get Newcastle looking forward again.
Not been troubled at all, Aaron Ramsdale. What he has had to do is look confident and comfortable. Another easy cross for him to deal with.
And Elanga gets round Irabunam, misses Voltemada, lifts it over Pickford and into the back of the net. What an away performance this is from Newcastle United. Their fans go berserk in the northwest corner from where we're sat. Voltemada, a little punch in the air from him, but it was the work of Elanga to get round Irabunam, and Voltemada had most of the 18-yard box to himself. It's a delicate chip over Pickford that Tarkowski couldn't recover, and David Moyes slumps in his chair in his dugout, arms folded. His side might be beaten by half-time. Everton 0, Newcastle 3.
It's a delightful finish from the big German, it really is. It's such a delicate touch over the on-rushing Jordan Pickford. From back to front, very quickly Newcastle, from Aaron Ramsdale's gloves into the back of Jordan Pickford's net within 3 passes. Anthony Elanga it is who put Voltemada through, one-on-one with Pickford. The ball's still bouncing. What he does, he takes his time. He doesn't rush, he doesn't lash at the ball. He looks up and he sees the England goalkeeper on rushing. He uses the bounce of the ball, side-footed, helps it over a hapless Pickford. Garner rushing back into the net, can't get his foot round it to clear it. And Newcastle are 3 up going into the break.
His first goal in 5 games, Nick Voltemada. A £69 million man with his 5th Premier League goal. Everton now desperately need a response. Dewsbury Hall goes down inside the D, and the referee doesn't look twice at it, and Newcastle could be off again. They'd spotted the run of Elanga on the right-hand side. It couldn't get to him. Handball given against James Garner, I think it is. Newcastle free kick just inside their own half to the left of the centre circle.
Eddie Howe's game plan in this first half has certainly worked, but I bet even he couldn't imagine them to go in 3-0 up at half-time. Geordie's away to our left-hand side. Some of them with their tops off, as usual this time of year, singing their hearts out. They're delighted. Without doubt, the best 45 minutes away from home for Newcastle this season. The way that they've set up, the way that they've hit Everton on the break, and the way they set up now, it's perfect for them with the pace of Elanga and Harvey Barnes on the counter-attack. If Everton are unlikely to get anything out of this game, they're going to have to open up, they're going to have to come at Newcastle, and that's exactly how they've just got the 3rd goal.
It's quite a mild night by Geordie standards, isn't it? No wonder the tops are off. Gloves are on from Paul Robinson. I don't think there's anyone out there wearing gloves, is there, player-wise? Rumours are Ian Dennis had his heated gloves on earlier today.
By the way, don't knock them, they're the way forward.
Soft on a rather temperate night. Here's a chance for Everton. Dewsbury Hall, brilliant sliding challenge from Dan Burn. He's furious at the referee for something there, Dan Burn. But as Dewsbury Hall got in narrow angle on the right-hand side, Burn recovered brilliantly. And Everton have a corner to close out this first half. They're trailing by 3-0. 2 minutes of added time was shown. We've had that. So it's an Everton corner, far side the right. This will be the last action of the first half. Is there hope for Everton? Newcastle headed away to the edge of the penalty area. It's recycled by Ndiaye. Cross comes in, bouncing around, skipping into the box. Newcastle bring it away, and there are boos around the Hill Dickinson Stadium for Everton, who trailed by 3-0 at the break. It was a fast start. Malik Chow's header from a corner made it 1-0. Lewis Miley, the 19-year-old, doubled the lead for Newcastle after a bit of Everton pressure for 2-0. And then right on half-time, Nick Voltemade got Newcastle's third.
There's a lot to unpack from an Everton point of view. A really poor defensive performance from them. But you've got to give this Newcastle side a lot of credit, the way that they've played away from home this season. You certainly haven't seen a performance like that coming. A change of personnel, a slight change of shape from Eddie Howe today. They've looked dangerous, they've looked decisive, and they've taken their opportunities when they've come, and they've put themselves in a superb position to go on and get all 3 points, having scored 3 by the time the half-time whistle's blown.
Newcastle, yet to win in the Premier League away from home this season, are on course. Only Brentford have dropped more points from winning positions this season than the Magpies. It'll be a tough ask for Everton to extend that Newcastle record. At the break mark, Everton 0, Newcastle 3.
Yeah, dominant for Newcastle at Everton, dominant for England at Wembley. Katie Smith.
England 5, China 0. England have been excellent. The fans are loving it, but China have been really poor. You do wonder what Sarina Wiegman's learning from this. The first 3 goals, 2 for Mead, 1 for Hem, came in the space of 3 minutes and 53 seconds. England then waited a whole 7 minutes before adding a 4th. That came from Stanway, drilling in at the far post. She added another from the spot. It was a penalty awarded by VAR for a handball. So Anna Morehouse, making her debut in goal today, has quite literally had nothing to do. So surely we'll see plenty of changes from Wiegman in the second half. She's got a chance to test out a lot of new faces sitting on the England bench. At half-time, England 5, China 0.
Earlier in the Premier League, Brentford beat Burnley 3-1. Manchester City were 2-0 up at home to Leeds at half-time. Leeds came back to make it 2-2, but a late Phil Foden goal gave Pep Guardiola's side the win. Sunderland came from 2-0 down at home to Bournemouth to win that 3-2. In the Championship, Coventry remained 10 points clear at the top. They beat Charlton. Middlesbrough beat Derby. Stoke dropped down a couple of places. They were beaten at home by Hull. One other big story, Norwich get their first home win of the season. They beat QPR by 3-1. Cardiff are the new leaders of League One. They beat Mansfield 3-0. Stevenage, the morning leaders, could only draw 0-0 at Wigan. Walsall stay top of League Two after a 3-1 win over Bromley. In the Scottish Premiership, Hearts were held, so that's 3 games without a win now. They drew 0-0 at Motherwell. In the National League, the big 4 at the top all won. So that's Rochdale and York and Forest Green Rovers and Carlisle. All of them were winners today. I didn't give you the Northern Irish Premiership at earlier on, the full time, so they are as follows: Crusaders 0, Coleraine 2, Dungannon 1, Larne 2, Glenarvan 3, Ballymena 1, Linfield 3, Carrick Rangers 1, Portadown 2, Cliftonville 3. Oscar Piastri won the sprint race earlier in Qatar. At the moment, it's qualifying for the race tomorrow. Jenny Gow.
Thank you, yes, and all eyes are on the championship title, which could be sewn up tomorrow with Lando Norris winning. That would be enough to seal his first ever world title for McLaren. But first, it's a small matter as qualifying, as you said, and Norris tips the tables for Q1 ahead of Piastri. Verstappen also up there and looking a bit more improved than he did in the sprint earlier on, but those out include Lewis Hamilton. Ferrari's rows continue to elude the form, but when it comes to McLaren, they are back on top. Norris first, Piastri second.
Let's go to the snooker next. First day of the UK Championship. Judd Trump through to the last 16, Jamie.
Yeah, the defending champion Judd Trump beat Stephen Maguire by 6 frames to 4. The sellout crowd saw 2 centuries plus 6 of the breaks over 50 in what was an entertaining match. This season, Trump has been trying out a new cue, but today he reverted back to using his old cue, the one with which he's won multiple tournaments. But why did the world number 1 want to experiment with a new cue?
I just felt like sometimes under pressure I just don't have full confidence in the cue, so I hate changing cues and stuff like that. For me, it's last resort. If something's not broke, then don't fix it. So if I'm winning tournaments, I just felt like I needed some of the heavier conditions, some more consistency and maybe some more power.
Judd Trump will now play Si Jiahui in the last 16 after the Chinese star hammered Ryan Day 6-0.
In the Scottish Cup, a couple of the big headlines were wins for non-league Auchinleck Talbot and Camelon Juniors against sides in League Two. St Johnstone The Championship leaders went out to Cove Rangers of League One. In the Rugby Union, South Africa thrashed Wales 73-0 at the Principality Stadium. In the Gallagher Prem, Gloucester beat Quins 26-15. Nearly at half-time in the other game, and Bristol lead Northampton by 28 points to 0. In the Women's Premiership, Sale and Exeter drew 26-all. There were convincing wins for Loughborough and Saracens over Leicester and Trailfinders respectively. Lions and Cardiff have won in the United Rugby Championship. Half-time in 2 games, Edinburgh 5, Ospreys 5 and Munster 21, Stormers 6. And the former champion hurdle Constitution Hill fell once again as Golden Ace came through to win the Fighting Fifth hurdle at Newcastle. Panic Attack won the Coral Gold Cup at Newbury. We'll bring you some reaction to the day's Premier League football before we return to Everton, who are 3-0 down at home to Newcastle, after the latest BBC News at 24 minutes past 6.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The award-winning playwright Sir Tom Stoppard has died at the age of 88. His family says he died peacefully at home in Dorset. President Trump says the airspace above and around Venezuela should be considered completely closed. In a message on social media, he said the warning was aimed at airlines, pilots, drug dealers and human traffickers. Torrential rains have triggered floods and landslides across parts of southern Asia, killing around 600 people. Monsoon rain exacerbated by tropical storms caused some of the region's worst flooding in years, with millions affected in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand and Sri Lanka. And Zara Sultana is accused leading figures in the new party she's founding with Jeremy Corbyn of carrying out a witch hunt to purge left-wing activists. Sultana boycotted the first day of the Your Party conference after several members who also belong to the Socialist Workers' Party were expelled.
BBC iPlayer is the home of EastEnders.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
You can watch whenever you want, with new episodes landing at 6 a.m.
All this entertainment, eh? Must be my lucky day.
The best way to watch EastEnders. BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sports with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Let's bring you some reaction to the day's Premier League football then. Manchester City were 2-0 up at home to Leeds. Leeds got it back to 2-2. Phil Foden got a late winner. City go second. Here's Ruben Diaz.
At the end of the day, obviously, we're not happy with the beginning of the second half. These kind of mistakes, they can cost us heavily, but still, we faced the situation. We kept on fighting. We had obviously the goal from Phil. We had a clear chance from Omar just before, and I'm proud of the way the team kept on fighting. Even Ryan, the way he came on, wanting to help us and finish the game. I really appreciate everyone's effort. Yeah.
So after a couple of results which have gone against you, what does it say about the character in the dressing room that eventually you find a way to win this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think essentially it just means that we need to play one game at a time. One game at a time, one game at a time, one game at a time. And whenever we try and deviate from that, it causes problems. So we need to play one game at a time, and that's the message. That has to be our core. That has to be the only thing in our minds, and period, nothing else. Just next game and period. There's nothing else after that.
Is that sometimes hard, though, when everyone else is talking about, Manchester City are closing the gap on Arsenal with a win today?
I feel like that's the challenge. That's where we need to be professional and be able to avoid the noise from outside.
Ruben Diaz with Gary Flintoff. Leeds have now lost 5 of their last 7 in the league. Here's Daniel Farker.
Disappointed because we came here in order to win points. Not for compliments, not for warm words, we wanted points, so the overriding feeling is disappointment. But of course the lads should be proud of themselves. So after the worst possible start into this game, if you concede here at the Etihad in the first minute, normally it's a long afternoon, and then so we concede out of a set piece. If you want to travel away with points, normally you have to win the set piece scoreline. Was a worst possible scenario in the first half, but we showed great character, great resilience, great passion, and also great quality in the second half. Fully deserved to equalise the game. Was the open game in the last 10 minutes. Both teams could have won it. They had the better end for that. It's disappointing for us, but the boys should be really proud of it.
Sunderland came from 2 down to beat Bournemouth 3-2 at the Stadium of Light. They're now back into the top 4 on 22 points. Here's Sunderland's Régis Lebris.
To be fair, I think we started well, especially with the ball. We felt that they were strong on their left side, so as expected. but the game was balanced. We made 2 mistakes, and this league is so demanding that if you make 2 mistakes, you can be punished with 2 goals, and it was the case. So a bit hard at that moment, but we didn't feel that we were far from the level. So probably the players were aware of the situation as well, and then now just 1 goal can change the dynamic, and it happened with this penalty.
What does it say about your side that you've come from 2-0 down to win 3-2, helped by the crowd clearly, but you must as a head coach be so proud of your team to be able to do that?
Yeah, it's a big achievement, especially in this league. It shows the character, it shows the consistency of the tactical model and the depth of the squad as well, because our finishers were really important, and the connection with our crowd is crucial. We know that to be efficient in this league we need this extra drive, and it was the case today.
Igor Thiago got 2 for Brentford, including a penalty as they beat Burnley 3-1. Here's Keith Andrews.
I thought it'd be a game of patience. When you look at their results and the way they've played this season, I think they're such a well-drilled team. It was always going to be a game for us today that we had to keep doing the basics really well, not get frustrated, because we've no divine right to win football games. You've got to earn it, and in the end I thought we did earn it.
And what about Igor Thiago? Some mental strength he had to show for that penalty.
Yeah, listen, he's shown a lot of mental strength full stop to get to this point in his career, so again, it doesn't really surprise me. First half I thought he could have and should have imposed himself in the game a little bit more. Some of that was down to the service. I think it's fair to say in the second half he certainly did that.
I mean, what an impact he's had on the Premier League. Has it surprised you?
I knew he'd have an impact, but in terms of what he is as a centre forward and the attributes, you never quite know, because he's been out for so long, and then before that he was playing in Bulgaria and in Belgium, so it's a huge trajectory for his career, but he settled so well, and last season being injured and how he integrated into the group and the culture of the football club, I think that's what made it easier for him this season. He's worked so hard to get to this point. He loves it here. It's a big part, obviously, of what we do. So am I surprised? Probably a little bit, because it's not easy to do what he's done. It's not the norm, I suppose.
Keith Andrews with John Southall. Tomorrow afternoon on Premier League Sunday, Chelsea Arsenal at 4:30, West Ham Liverpool at 2:05. Alistair Bruce Ball will be your commentator at the London Stadium after he's got through 6:06.
Good evening, Mark. Yeah, just on Brentford there and Keith Andrews. I look at the Premier League table tonight. They're sitting in 8th, 3 points off the top 4. Igor Thiago on 11 goals. We don't hear from that many Brentford fans on 6:06, so why not give us a call tonight? 08085 909 693. You know, has your club surprised you this season? Has Keith Andrews surprised you? Did you think it was going to go this way? Has Thiago surprised you? Listen to Chris Sutton. He was sitting there, wasn't he? Busy boy this afternoon. Good second half at the Etihad Stadium. Love to hear from the Leeds fans, because I heard Chris Sutton and Rob Green going at it, Mark, earlier in the show on the job Daniel Farke has done so far. And Chris very much sticking up for Farke, wasn't he, in terms of the resources he's had available to him as a Premier League manager. So I'd love to know where the Leeds fans stand on that one. You know, Daniel Farke made the changes at half-time. Leeds got back in the game, gave Manchester City a real run for their money. I think from City fans, I'd like to know, what did you make of that second half, and where did the control go, and what do you make of the way your team is playing at the moment? Sunderland in the top 4 again tonight. Next 3 fixtures for them: Liverpool away, Manchester City away, Newcastle home. So Sunderland fans, how many points are you going to get from those games? That's a classic sort of Chris Sutton question. And obviously ahead of that game, Mark, I'm doing tomorrow. It's our 2:05 commentary on 5 Live. You know, Liverpool fans, would just love to hear from Liverpool fans tonight, just on, what are you thinking? What are you expecting? How is this going to improve? How is Arne Slot going to dig you out of the rut? So loads to go out tonight. And Norwich fans as well, Chris.
Well, I was going to say... Chris.
Whoa!
Oh, dear.
I do apologise.
I mean, I've been called some things in my time.
Yeah, that's poor from me.
Right. I would like to hear from, I don't know, maybe former Norwich and Celtic players on what they think about the job Philippe Clement has done this afternoon.
Yeah, and the other one, Mark, just, there's loads of great stories in the EPL, but Leicester fans as well tonight lost at home to Sheffield United today, didn't they, by 3-2, and were well behind in that game. So if they want to give us a call, whoever you are, whoever you support, give us a call, 08085 909 693.
Thank you, Ian. Let's go back to Everton, Newcastle. Very comfortable at the break. Here are Paul Robinson and Mike Minor.
Thanks, Chris. Sorry, Mark. We are just seeing Newcastle players come out from the tunnel below us. I can't imagine they'll be making a change for Robinson, but we know, or we heavily suspect, Charlie Alcaraz will be coming on for Everton. He was warming up at half-time, and in fact he does emerge down below us as part of the Everton set that are walking out across the white line, ready to start the second half. 3-0 down. What's this change going to do?
He's going to have to change something, David Moyes. One thing he's going to have to change is the mindset. 3-0 down, they're going to have to find something. They need an early goal, try and get themselves back into this game somehow. The ball's just gone up. It's Irabunam who's gone off. Almost a like-for-like substitution, but Alcaraz will offer more going forward, I think. So it'll be Garner out the midfield that sits, and Alcaraz will be allowed to join in higher up. Dewsbury Hall, Grealish and Ndiaye. They need to find something, Everton. They need to find it quickly.
Well, he turns 23 tomorrow. This is Charlie Alcaraz. Summer signing, permanent deal after being on loan from Flamengo in the second half of last season. That reminds me that the Copa Libertadores final is on the BBC iPlayer this evening, which you can watch. The South American Champions League final. As we prepare for kick-off in the second half then with Newcastle, 3 goals to the good. Goals from Chow, from Miley and from Voltemada. In a first half that started quickly for Newcastle. They got the goal on 52 seconds through Malik Chow. Then Everton grew back into the game, but effectively with Newcastle's second attack, they got the second goal, and that really deflated the Everton team and the Everton crowd that aren't exactly rushing back to their seats for the start of the second half.
No, this wonderful new stadium, we're getting to see quite a lot of the blue seats at the moment. I mean, there was an early exodus at half-time, wasn't there? And they're certainly not rushing back to the seats in front of us. Very difficult for the team 3-0 down. I, for one, probably them included, didn't expect the team to be getting beat in the way that they have at this point today. Normally defensively under David Moyes, difficult to pick gaps. That's one thing they are. They're a tight unit. If they do concede, it's very rarely a lot. I know they lost here 3-0 to Tottenham, but you look at the other games, they're always tight games when David Moyes is involved. Played 14 all competitions and got 5 clean sheets.
Including in their last 2 games, Everton. The win at Fulham, the win at Manchester United. They were looking to keep 3 clean sheets in a row in the Premier League for the first time since April 2024. 3 clean sheets in 3 wins in a row, I should say. December 2024 is the last time they kept 3 clean sheets in a row. And Jordan Pickford in goal, but he was certainly at fault for the second goal in terms of keeping it out. You can watch that back on Match of the Day tonight. Everton looking for a bright start to this second half. Comfortable header back to Aaron Ramsdale, who's the Newcastle goalkeeper. We talk about Jordan Pickford at one end. And Aaron Ramsdale in goal. We'll come to that in a moment because we're off back to Wembley. Katie Smith.
Well, we've played a couple of minutes of this second half. England 5, China 0, and probably as expected and hoped for by the fans, Veegman's made a few changes at half-time. So off go Esme Morgan, Beth Mead, Lauren Hem. In come Chloe Kelly, Jess Park and Lotta Vibomoy. So we're seeing rotation. Still a lot of unused substitutes, uncapped, and I think a lot of fans would like to see some of them come on. England 5, China 0.
Thank you, Katie. So that's on Sports Extra 2 with commentary right now. Over on Sports Extra, you've got qualifying for the Qatar Grand Prix. I can tell you that Lewis Hamilton out in Q1 again. It has been a miserable month or so for Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari.
As if you can have so many problems with a Ferrari.
You'd know about that, would you?
Big problems to have that, isn't it? Oh no, my Ferrari's not working.
First world problems is and die for Everton. I'll run you through the 2 teams when we get chance in a moment. 3 minutes gone in the second half. Everton trailing by 3-0. Here is Garner out towards the near side touchline. Everton in their blue shirts, white shorts, blue socks are now left to right attacking the south stand, which is kind of designed to look like a single tier rising steeply. It is got a little slight separation about halfway up, but an impressive architectural feature of this new stadium that can be noisy when Everton are going well. Certainly the PA system had us deafened pre-kick-off. It has gone very quiet in and around the Hill Dickinson Stadium in this second half. Still so many blue seats on show, particularly in the home end. Newcastle end in the northwest corner. There's a little bit more hard to find the seats, and they are applauding their team who've won a throw-in midway inside the Everton half. Newcastle, in their green shirts, green shorts and white socks, are left to right, leading as they are by 3-0. Everton, Pickford in goal, O'Brien, Tarkowski, Keane and Mykolenko the back four. Garner is holding the midfield. Alcaraz on for Irabunam at half-time, and Dewsbury Hall and Grealish behind Tierno Barry up front. As for Newcastle, Ramsdale is their goalkeeper. Nick Pope injured is the line from the club this evening. Livramento, Chow, Byrne and Hall the back four. Miley, Guimaraes and Joe Linton in midfield. Elanga and Barnes either side of Nick Voltemada up front, and Guimaraes has used a lovely bit of skill to almost flick the ball with the heel of his boot to Joe Linton. He sends it on the Hall. This is Barnes with a cross standing up towards the back post. Elanga tries to get there, so does Joe Linton. Michael Keane hacks it high into the night sky above the Merseyside stadium, and Everton have survived that Newcastle attack again. They don't attack often, Newcastle, but when they do, they look threatening.
Last gasp defending again from Everton. Michael Keane it was that time, swinging a left foot at it, clearing it away from Jordan Pickford's goalmouth. Poor defending all afternoon, all evening, from Everton. Newcastle, you can see what they're going to do in this very early stage of the second half. They're quite happy to sit back and allow Everton possession so long as it's in front of them. They've got the back four, the midfield, and Voltemada as the isolated striker. Sit together, sit tight as a unit, but they know on the break, as they had then in Elanga, they've got the pace on the right-hand side, and it's all about managing their way through this second half, Newcastle. Everton need a goal. I mean, if they need to change the atmosphere here, they need to change the mindset, because at the moment they're struggling.
They get one, there might be a renewed sense of belief, but for now they are heading for their second defeat in the Premier League at their new stadium, having left Goodison Park. Still tributes to Goodison Park. I noticed the LED boards and a Kickoff kind of created this metal pole and stanchion effect to kind of give you that old Goodison Park feeling. That's a lovely ball through to Barry, who just takes a touch onto his right boot, edge of the D, lays it off for and dies. He got a route through the goal, he curls his shot on target. Ramsdale saw that all the way, goes to the ground on his knees and clutches the ball at his chest. But it is positive from Everton. 6 minutes in the second half, they trail 3-0.
Barry's had very little involvement this game. I mean, his touches have been minimal, but every time the ball's come near him, he's looked like he's going to fall over. He looks like he's going to slip. I don't know what boots he's got on, but David Moyes is down there, who's talking to his kit man, because every time that Barry touches the ball, he looks like he's walking on glass. He looks like he's going to slip at any time.
Signed in the summer from Villarreal, has featured in every Premier League game so far this season for Everton. But his last goal came for France at the Under-21 European Championship in the summer. How Everton need a goal, trailing as they are by 3-0 on 5 Live this evening. Updates to come from Tottenham against Fulham from 8 o'clock tonight. That'll be into 6:06 with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693, the number you need to have your say. We'll also bring you live reaction, hopefully from the Hill Dickinson Stadium tunnel with Chris Sykes. He'll hopefully get a word from Eddie Howe and David Moyes. Eddie Howe in discussion with Jason Tindall. Eddie Howe's got his black winter coat on. Jason Tindall in a bright white training jacket. Another goal for England at Wembley, Katie Smith.
Yeah, we played less than 10 minutes in this second half. It's a 6th for England, a hat-trick for Georgia Stanway. England 6, China 0. Another really well-worked team goal from the Lionesses, played through the centre. Loads of 1-2 passes, intricate little touches, finished off by the Bayern Munich player. England 6, China 0.
Thank you, Katie. Sports Extra 2 for commentary of that one. Grealish on the left-hand side, played it off Livramento. Everton have a corner.
That's better from Grealish. First time he's tried to go around the outside of Livramento. Every time in the first half he's looked to check inside on that right foot and move the ball quickly with either a pass or a cross. This time he tries to go around the outside of him on his left boot. He looked dangerous on his side of corner.
So far side corner, which is Everton's left. Tarkowski stands on the penalty spot unmarked. It's swung right in towards Ramsdale. He punches it, and then a blasting shot from Alcaraz off the bar. He had a full run up to that. Newcastle players in the 6-yard box. Alcaraz just charged onto it 10 yards out, and he smacked the crossbar. Ball flew away, and Newcastle survived. That was Everton's moment of hope.
Alcaraz has absolutely walloped that off the crossbar. It's hit the crossbar that hard, it's ended up in Everton's half.
And watch Newcastle try and go on the counter-attack now. Alcaraz wins it back as the ball is trying to be switched from the right-hand side to a more central position. That was a big moment for Everton, and it is the bar that saves Newcastle from conceding in this second half. 8.5 minutes played, Newcastle lead 3-0.
It was a really good delivery on the far side from Everton, in-swinging corner. It went onto Aaron Ramsdale's goalmouth at like shoulder height. Aaron Ramsdale had to dive towards his near post, clawed it out with two hands, missed everybody in his 6-yard box, and it was rolling really nicely for Alcaraz, bobbling just after the penalty spot. He got his head down and he absolutely sent a thunderbolt towards the crowd of players, past everybody, and rattled the crossbar so hard.
Hall down the left-hand side, draws level with the corner of the penalty area, the near side of the pitch as we look at it in this second half, with Newcastle going from right to left in their green shirts, all green outfit, shirts and shorts with the white socks for Newcastle United this evening, their away strip. I've just seen producer Chris check his fantasy team. I wonder who's out there that he's hoping scores a few points in this second half for his side. As Barry tries to hold up on the halfway line, he can't. Malik Chow wins the ball back for Newcastle. Here's Dan Byrne, now Joe Linton.
It's all about managing it now, Newcastle. The scare there from Everton. Actually, we talk about the pace of the shot from Alcaraz. I think he had a lot more time than he realised. He just went for pure power. I mean, it missed everybody in the box. Goalkeeper was beaten, rattled against the crossbar. Can't help but think maybe could he have picked his spot a little bit more cultured with his finish.
He definitely latched onto it, didn't he? Hit it cleanly and sweetly as Elanga just pushes it through the Livramento right-hand side, looking for the pullback of Voltemada. Everton have enough bodies in the way, and Dye's got to be clever here. He plays a angled ball towards Dewsbury Hall, who's got Elanga chasing back behind him and catches him, and that's going to be an Everton free kick. No yellow card for Elanga. Yet to see a yellow card at all this afternoon so far. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Newcastle lead 3-0.
Clever play from Dewsbury Hall, who's under pressure from Elanga. Newcastle looking to turn possession over again quickly. Once again, it's all too slow from Everton. It's too methodical. Tarkowski going a little bit longer now, trying to open up the defence. Dewsbury Hall looking for a penalty. He's not going to get that. Not really working for Everton today. It's been a tough watch for those in blue.
Just watching a replay of Aaron Ramsdale's save from that corner initially that then led to the Alcaraz shot hitting the bar. He's had to sort of claw the ball around the back of Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes is restricting his own goalkeeper there. He does well, Aaron Ramsdale.
Done well to get it off his goal line. But actually, you see the opportunity for Alcaraz. I believe how that's not either hit anybody or gone in the back of the net. It's gone through clean as a whistle onto the crossbar. Like I say, it hit the crossbar that hard, almost rebounded back into his own Everton half.
Ball over the top and Barnes will chase. Pickford doesn't know what to do. Here is Barnes, and Pickford's legs save the day, and it goes behind for a corner to avoid any further Everton embarrassment. Barnes in on the left-hand side, trying to roll it around the goalkeeper, but Pickford was in the way. It is a Newcastle corner.
He gets lucky, Jordan Pickford. He gets so lucky. Ball over the top from Lewis Hall into the path of Harvey Barnes on the corner of the 18-yard box. Jordan Pickford decides to come, then he stops, holds his ground, and he's in what we call no man's land between the corner of his 6-yard box, corner of the 18-yard box. Ends up standing up, makes himself big. In the end, makes a decent save.
So corner to Newcastle, near side, in towards the 6-yard box, headed away. It will drop on the edge of the penalty area to Livramento. Miley, right-footed first-time delivery. It's in. Voltemada can control it. Gets it on his left boot. Pickford, great save. Left-handed, right-handed rather, down towards his right-hand side, just before the goal line, and stops Newcastle having a fourth. It's swung back into the box. The header's there. They're not stopping that one. And it's Malik Chow again. Got his first goal in the first half. He's added to it in the second half. A header at the back post. And Malik Chow is able to head it past Pickford. And Newcastle are loving their first trip to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. They lead Everton by 4-0.
Christmas has come early for the Geordies. It's a wonderful header again from Chow at the far post. Lewis Hall on his left foot. It's a cultured ball to the far post. The Everton defenders again nowhere to be seen. The space, the holes, the gaps, and Chow at the far post rises above everybody to power it past Jordan Pickford. And 4-0 now away from home. Surely that's job done for Newcastle.
They kept Voltemada's effort out as he was looking to add to his collection this evening. They recycled the ball. Everton's line couldn't adjust quick enough, and Chow just ghosting it at the back post. Beats his man. Angled header back across the direction of which it came from. It is a good header. And it is one that has Newcastle sailing. Everton fans, those who did eventually come back for the second half, are quickly heading back down towards the concourses. David Moyes was ever so hunched in his dugout, watching what will be Everton's biggest defeat at their new stadium. And again, it comes in a period where Everton aren't playing badly, but defensively are having a nightmare this evening. They've won a corner here now on the far side.
Decisive finishing from Newcastle. Such good play in and around the 18-yard box in the final third. The ball from Lewis Hall, it was absolutely perfect to the far post. Malik Chow attacked it with power, with pace, powered it past Jordan Pickford. Been really impressive. The last third of the pitch, Newcastle, when they get the opportunity, they've been clinical. And as you say, just as Everton were trying to get a foothold back in this game, trying to get something, it's surely now, on the hour mark, been taken away from them.
Newcastle are going to win back-to-back Premier League games for the first time this season. Their Premier League form this season so inconsistent. Draw, lost, draw. One drawn, lost. One lost, won. Lost, lost, won. And then now, on the hour, 4-0 up against Newcastle for what will be, certainly, another W. Everton throw-in. Level with the right-hand corner of the penalty area, near side the right. Jake O'Brien wipes the ball on his royal blue shirt. Tarkowski and Byrne side by side in the penalty area. That's a good combination of height and muscle to watch out. Malik Chow's in there as well. Jake O'Brien steps up to the touchline, launches the ball in. It's Dan Burns' header that goes behind. Ramsdale tries to keep it in. That was a lost cause. Everton throw-in turns into an Everton corner.
It's been a very uncharacteristic-like performance from Everton today so far in the game. Defensively, all at sea. They've been found wanting too many times. Going forward, it just hasn't worked for them in the final third. Struggling to find any way back into this game.
What are we, 3/4 full probably now inside this stadium?
Well, everybody tells me how bad it is to get away from, but I don't think we'll have a problem tonight, will we?
It'll be easy out in the car park this evening. As Everton's corner is headed away, comes to Mikalenko midway inside the Newcastle half. Tarkowski uses his body to shield it. He'll run out towards the far corner for Jack Grealish, who squares up against Livramento. Two England potentials for the World Cup, perhaps. Cross comes in. O'Brien's header is down, but can't find a Everton teammate. And the ball bounces away up towards the halfway line from the Newcastle clearance.
Defending very resolutely. Newcastle at the moment. Chow and Byrne in deep conversation, talking to the midfielders in front of them, trying to close the gaps, not allow Everton any type of space. They haven't given them an inch really all day. We've got Ramsdale coming in today. It's been a very, very comfortable evening for him.
08 085 909 693, the number you need for 606 on 5 Live tonight with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. Newcastle fans, you finally get that first Premier League away win of the season. Everton fans, let's hear from you after this performance today has left your side defensively stricken at times. Certainly want to hear from Manchester City fans, but also Leeds fans. How impressed were you by Daniel Farke's side performance today, coming from 2-0 down to test Manchester City to the very end for 2-2. Sunderland into the top 4 of the Premier League with a comeback win over Bournemouth.
You'd think it was going to be a tough week for Leeds. A lot of questions over Daniel Farke and his future this week. Very tough away game at Manchester City today. They play Chelsea midweek. They've got another very tough game against Liverpool at the weekend. What looked to be a defining week for him. His team have somehow dug out a performance today and almost got a result, the most unlikeliest of results.
Well, they've scored 4 here. In their previous 7 away games, they'd only scored 3. Newcastle United in the Premier League. They have had a trip to remember from one side of the country to the other. I can tell you shortly we're going to bring you commentary of the closing of Q3 for the Qatar Grand Prix. Qualifying this evening for tomorrow's Grand Prix. Can Lando Norris, the main protagonist in this F1 three-way title battle, put his McLaren on pole, or will Oscar Piastri do what he did in sprint qualifying and the race earlier today and start from top spot and win from top spot? Or maybe, and never write him out, Max Verstappen might still have something to say. Qatar qualifying coming up shortly. Right now we're watching Everton 0, Newcastle 4. You can hear how Q3 begins, by the way, on Sports Extra commentary, uninterrupted on there of that on Sports Extra 2. England thrashing China by 6-0 in a women's international. O'Brien on the ball for Everton, trailing 4-0. Alcaraz, 5 live from the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And it goes towards the far side. A little bit of space for the cross to come in. It's not a bad one. It's towards Barry, who turns and shoots, and there is a way through. It wasn't the cleanest of strikes from Thierno Barry, but it's his first goal for Everton. They will hope it means something. At the minute, it doesn't, but suddenly a little bit of hope around the Hill Dickinson. And it is Everton 1, Newcastle 4.
If nothing else for Everton this afternoon, that's Barry off the mark, and he's a popular figure here at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. You saw him get applauded off last week after another goalless performance. He's finally got his goal, and it was celebrated like a winning goal. It wasn't the cleanest of strikes. It came off the outside of his boot, kind of looked up and over Aaron Ramsdale into the side netting. It was a pretty ugly strike. He went for the header first, and VAR are just checking that it hasn't come off his hand on the way down. But I think the rule is, isn't it, if it hits a part of his body and then goes onto his hand, he should be okay. Oh, his hand does come out, though. They are checking. They're having a good look at this VAR.
So the cross has come in.
That was Summy's look-up, wouldn't it? That would really Summy's look-up this season.
The cross comes in from the left. Dan Burn misses his header. Barry's just behind him, but as he's stooping with his header, does it come off his right arm?
Listen,
he then
that'd
hits
be
it.
harsh. That would be really harsh, but VAR are taking a good long look at this. He's headed it almost down. Dan Burns put him off in front of him. He's gone to head it. He's headed into the ground. But VAR are just looking to see if it's brushed his hand on the way down. This is a matter of opinion. It's going to be very close.
Comes off his head first, rolls onto his right arm. He has a shrug of the shoulders. There is an ironic cheer from the Newcastle fans. Here's the decision. Well, I'm not sure you could hear that. Clearly I struggled too. But it has been given as handball, so the goal doesn't stand, and Everton don't have their first goal of the evening, and Thierno Barry just walks back to the Newcastle penalty area because what he thought was his first goal is now a Newcastle free kick. Everton 0, Newcastle 4.
And that sums Barry's look up this season. It's a real opportunity for him to get off the mark. I mean, it's a scruffy goal, it's not a clean strike. He's headed it down and it's rolled down onto his arm. VAR took a long time to look at it, and they've decided that it was an accidental handball.
Closes his eyes, tilts his head to the sky, almost in a regrettable disbelief on the face of Thierno Barry. Everton 0, Newcastle 4, almost at the midway point of this second half, as Pickford hurries the ball away from his penalty area under a little bit of pressure. Now Dewsbury Hall chases down the left-hand side. That will be Malik Thiaw's all day long, and he rolls it back to Aaron Ramsdale, who gets a touch. And I think maybe for the first time this evening I can bring you into the conversation of Aaron Ramsdale getting his chance in goal with the injury to Nick Pope, Paul Robinson.
And quite ironic, isn't it? Not last season, but the season before. It was Everton away where Mikel Arteta relieved him of his duties as #1 goalkeeper for Arsenal, having just played for England at the midweek before. Played as England's #1 against Scotland, and then found he was dropped at Goodison Park for the Arsenal team, and then never really got another look in since. Difficult season for him last year, bided his time here at Newcastle, but now some would say deservedly got his chance. Top goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale is a goalkeeper that I like.
Has played in a couple of League Cup matches this season for Eddie Howe's side. And maybe he would be hoping to impress this evening. He hasn't had a lot to do to impress.
I don't think he's going to have to now because of what Eddie Howe said midweek. If you listen to his press conference, he was asked about the goalkeeper situation, about the recent mistakes that Nick Pope had made, and he said, look, if I am to change, it's not short term. He said, I believe that my goalkeepers need to have a relationship with the defenders need to understand how the goalkeepers play as a team, as a unit, and if I am to change, it will be for the mid-term, not the short term. Hence the reason that I think maybe the line might have come out from Newcastle that Nick Pope was injured. Might be a case of maybe just best to leave him out for a couple of weeks. Aaron Ramsdale's going to be in the team now for the foreseeable, if you go off what Eddie Howe said midweek.
Nick Pope not part of the side today, hasn't travelled, we don't believe. It's John Ruddy who's the substitute goalkeeper for Newcastle United, as Aaron Ramsdale gets his chance.
Interesting with the England squad as well, isn't it? I mean, you look at Thomas Tuchel's last England squad, Nick Pope was unfortunate. He's called into the squad, then missed out with a concussion protocol. And now, only a couple of weeks later, he's lost his place in the club side to Aaron Ramsdale. But listen, Aaron Ramsdale had exactly the same done to him.
Gave the Newcastle fans a wave as he came out the tunnel at the start of the game. Aaron Ramsdale, Everton 0, Newcastle 4. Newcastle are going to make a double change in a minute, which we'll see both Jacob Ramsey and Joe Willett come on. They are stripped off, ready to come on. Number 28 and number 41 for Eddie Howe's side. Everton enjoying a bit of possession, but not really doing anything with it. Now they send it long to Dewsbury Hall. Tries to control it over his shoulder. That's a tidy finish from Dewsbury Hall. Controlled that over his shoulder as it dropped out of the air. Sent it into the bottom right-hand corner. And quickly gathers the ball to get Everton back to the midway point to start again. Everton's goal will stand on this occasion, and it is Everton 1, Newcastle 4.
We've been treated to some brilliant goals this afternoon. That's the best of them. It's a hopeful ball over the top. Dewsbury Hall finds himself tucked in behind the Newcastle defenders, keeps his eye on the ball in between Livramento and Thiaw. It's an unbelievable first touch with his left foot. Brings the ball under his spell and then passes it past Aaron Ramsdale with the instep of his left foot. That really is a superb goal. That goal itself is worth the entrance fee. What a lovely finish.
One touch to bring the ball down over his shoulder, the next to send it past Aaron Ramsdale. And Everton have one back. They've got 20 minutes to try and make this game slightly more exciting. Everton 1, Newcastle 4 on 5 Live. And interestingly, we talk about England, we talk about Ramsdale and Pope. We've looked at Jordan Pickford at the other end. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall said after the win on Monday night, he'd be doing himself an injustice if he can't work his way into Thomas Tuchel's World Cup plans.
Certainly with touches and goals like that, he's not going to do himself any harm. I think the thing that he's up against is the plethora of talent and the quality that England have got in those areas. Very, very blessed with a number of attacking wide players, attacking midfielders in the same kind of role.
Watch Everton go forward here. Tarkowski down the right-hand side, loses his pace, loses sight of the ball, but then Newcastle have just given it away. And Dye with a lot of work to do. Ramsey straight into the action to try and defend the ball. It's up towards Barry, header behind. It will be a goal kick. Everton fans feel that should have been a corner. They're screaming and gesticulating towards the referee, Craig Pawson, but it won't change his mind. It is going to be a goal kick. Newcastle lead 4-1. What do England lead by now, Katie Smith?
They lead by 7 goals to 0 here against China, the Asian champions, and this the most humiliating yet for China. A mistake at the back, complacency passing between the goalkeeper and her centre-back, and Ella Toon just gifted the ball and able to just guide it into the back of the net. England 7, China 0.
On top of a Stanway hat-trick, a Hemp goal and 2 for Beth Mead. England rampant at Wembley. Their first game since winning the Euros at the National Stadium. 7-0 they lead. That's on Sports Extra 2 for you right now. Everton trailing here by 4 goals to 1. Alcaraz tries to spread the play. Livramento cut that out well enough. Now Willett wants to push it around the back of Mykolenko and go chasing for it. Mykolenko, the Ukrainian, wise to it. Back to Pickford it goes.
Yeah, they're trying, Everton. They're trying to get themselves back in this game. The supporters that have remained in the stadium, they're getting behind their team. This is the first time really this evening that they've played with any kind of belief going forward, any desire.
Everton want a free kick, and Dye felt he was tripped as he moved in from the touchline. Joe Linton had a little leg stuck out of him. Jacob Ramsey too. Throw in is the settlement for Everton. 25 yards from the byline on this near side. 08085 909 693 is the number you need for 606 this evening. Wins for Brentford, Manchester City and Sunderland earlier. Newcastle winning here. Maybe you're a Coventry fan. Coming from behind, still 10 points clear at the top, and already racking up half a century of goals in the Championship as Coventry came from behind to beat Charlton 3-1. Middlesbrough win in Kim Hellberg's first game in charge. 2-1 at home to Derby. Cardiff back to the top of the League One table this evening. They beat Mansfield. Brian Barry Murphy's got them ticking along. It also reminds me, Cardiff City's the focus of Colin Murray and Pat Nevin's football songbook tomorrow morning on BBC Radio 5 live between 10 and 12. Here come Newcastle United down the right-hand side, looking to get 4-goal cushion back. Livramento crosses it in, deflects behind. Newcastle corner.
They always carry that threat on the counter-attack, Newcastle. with the pace that they've got in Livramento in the wide right areas, and now with Willock and Ramsey coming on, Barnes and Elanga going off, they've got fresh legs, fresh opportunities to break on the counter-attack. Paul walking over to the far side. He's certainly not in a rush to take this corner.
And he's going to get the applause from the Newcastle fans in that corner of the Hill Dickinson Stadium on the bottom tier that sweeps around as he walks over to that right-hand side to take the corner. Many of them singing his name, no doubt. Busy 6-yard box that. Everton have everybody inside their own penalty area. 8 players inside the 6-yard box in a blue shirt. It goes right towards the near post. Pickford punches it away, comes back out to hold the corner taker. His cross blocked immediately by Ndiaye and ricochets away for a throw on the far side.
Well defended by Everton, good decisive play from Jordan Pickford, but it's not where Everton want to be at this stage of the game. Got a foothold back in the game somehow by getting a goal. Once again, they're sat again deep. Newcastle really controlling things now. This is all they have to do now, Eddie Howe's men, between now and the final whistle. Control play, take the time over throw-ins, corner kicks, ensure they don't concede again, don't give Everton a glimmer of hope, and manage their way through what's been a very, very good away performance.
Well, Everton have won it midway inside their own half. There's a lot of work for Jack Grealish to do, but he's heading down the left-hand side of the field, stopped by Livramento. Ball stays in play. Newcastle United have it back. Newcastle who go back to St James's Park and take on Spurs in midweek. That'll be a really interesting fixture. Tough one for Everton, although they might fancy their chances against an out-of-form Bournemouth.
I think they've got a tough run, Everton. I do. When you look at their fixtures, away at Bournemouth, then at home to Forest, and then they go to Chelsea, and then they've got Arsenal here. They've got a few tough games ahead, especially if they play like today. They're going to have to shore up defensively.
Newcastle 2 home games, Spurs and then Burnley, then they go to Leverkusen, and then they go to the Stadium of Light just before Christmas for a Tyne Weir derby, and it's going to be an interesting one to watch, certainly at the Stadium of Light, given Sunderland's home form yet to lose this season. Everton having some defending to do here. We'll be off to Qatar in a moment. Let's see what Newcastle do with this attack down the left-hand side. Ramsey. O'Brien squares up, the long-range shot comes in, deflects. Everton are able to head it away. Dewsbury Hall wants to get the touch on it, he can. Let's go to Qatar then. Could be a pivotal moment for Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri or Max Verstappen as we head to the penultimate Grand Prix of the season, qualifying the last few minutes with Harry Benjamin.
Welcome along to the last 13 seconds of qualifying. We think Lando Norris is out of this one. He's currently a provisional pole, but his final lap scuppered after a mistake. So all eyes on Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. Piastri is currently in second. 35 thousandths of a second split him and pole position. Piastri's quicker in the middle sector, but Max Verstappen is fastest of anybody in the first sector. This could be pivotal for Piastri. It is. It's Piastri on pole for the Qatar Grand Prix by just over a tenth. But can Max Verstappen, who's struggled all weekend long so far, find anything at the close? To the line, he puts it in third, and the top 3 are Piastri, Norris and Max Verstappen at the moment, but George Russell is flying out there too. But our championship protagonists are all within an inch of each other. Antonelli comes to the line in 5th. George Russell's bailed out of this one, I think, so that'll be that for qualifying. Oscar Piastri on pole position ahead of Lando Norris with Max Verstappen in third. They are your 3 title contenders, all inside the top 3 ahead of the Qatar Grand Prix.
Harry, thank you. What a race that will be, and the whole race live on Sports Extra tomorrow. If you've got the BBC Sounds app, what you'll be able to do at any point is flick between our choice of commentaries across BBC Radio 5 Live, Sports Extra 2 and 3 tomorrow with more Premier League action to come. Newcastle coming forward on the left-hand side with 13 minutes to go, leading by 4-1 here at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Any hope that Everton had when they got a goal back through Keane in Dewsbury Hall has slowly evaporated as the time starts to tick down and Everton need to find 3 goals.
Yeah, Newcastle somehow, seemingly to date, they've replicated the St James's Park form away from home, this wonderful stadium. A really good performance from them. Controlled the game from start to finish. They got the early goal, obviously filled them with confidence, and from that point on, the game plans worked really well from Eddie Howe. They've defended when they've needed to, they've not allowed Everton any space. not really looked susceptible at all, apart from the goal, which was a really well taken goal from Dewsbury Hall. Once again, they're rotating the ball now. Dan Burn, Ramsdale, Chow at the back.
And just a reminder, Oscar Piastri on pole for the Qatar Grand Prix over the course of the weekend. Lando Norris needs to beat both Piastri and Verstappen by 2 points. If he wins the Grand Prix, he'll win the title. Talking of winning games, Newcastle look to have done that. They're going to try and wrap it up here with Ramsey, saved by the legs of Pickford. Shot on the corner of the 6-yard box. The angle was probably against Ramsey there. Pickford did well. Newcastle still have it alive here. Another goal at Wembley there in a second, as Willock just tricks his way into the penalty area. It will be a goal kick. That gives us a chance to go to the National Stadium. Is it 8, Katie?
Oh, you guessed it right, Mike. Well done. England 8, China 0. And how many times do we say this during the season? Alessia Russo with so much great hold-up play throughout this match, finally rewarded with a goal. A lovely weighted pass to the centre forward in the 6-yard box, tucks it home, was reviewed for an offside by VAR. Very, very marginal, but the goal stands. England 8, China 0.
Katie Smith with that report there for BBC Radio 5 Live. Double change for Everton to quickly move on from that terrible pun. Illiman and Dye and Jack Grealish are coming off the field. Dwight McNeil, much out of favour this season, is going to get the final 10 minutes of this game as the fine rain starts to fall down from the jet black skies above the Hill Dickinson Stadium this evening. And Tyler Dibbling, the youngster, moved from Southampton in the summer, just 19 years old. He's on as well, hasn't featured since mid-October and the defeat to Manchester City. It is his 5th Premier League appearance in an Everton shirt, and he's 4th from the bench.
I think that's David Moyes managing his players' minutes. I mean, he knows this race is run, and Dye and Grealish are going to be very, very important to Everton going forward. Just approaching, the 81st minute now. Looks to be a very tough way, if any way, back into this game for Everton. They've certainly not been at the best today. Newcastle have come here and they've done a job on them. They've been quite easy to play against. Defensive mistakes and a very good performance to Newcastle have combined to get the scoreline that we look at now.
Dan Burn in the left-back position, sends it forward. And now here's Joe Linton from one side of the centre circle to the other. Newcastle very relaxed in how they're approaching this game now, leading by 4 goals to 1. BBC Radio 5 Live from the Hill Dickinson Stadium from 8 o'clock tonight. Reports from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium where Spurs host Fulham, and with the team news, James Gray.
Evening to you, Mike. Yeah, Tottenham make 4 changes from the side that lost 5-3 in Paris in midweek in the Champions League. So we've got Kevin Danso, Joao Paulinho, Destiny Origi and Mohamed Kudus replacing Jed Spence, Rodrigo Bentancur, Pape Sarr and Christian Romero, who is suspended today. And just 1 Fulham change from the side, who beat Sunderland a goal to 0 last weekend, with Samuel Chukwueze replacing Kevin. Sasa Lukic is back on the bench for the Cottagers after a ban.
Thank you, James. Regular reports from there during 6:06 then, which tonight is Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693 is the number you need. Newcastle has spread the play well, working it from the right-hand side. Now to Jacob Ramsey, who's on the left. Now Voltemada, played through in the penalty area, trying to find the space to shoot. Too many Everton bodies in the way. One of them gets a little leg to stick out and take the ball away from Nick Voltemada, and Newcastle have to think about their approach again. Jacob Ramsey, who is taking on Everton for the 9th time. He's never lost to them. 7 wins in those previous 8 games. I think it's going to be 8 wins in 9.
Yeah, the complete control now, Newcastle. This game's done. They're camped in the Everton half, just making the blue shirts chase after the ball, rotating possession from side to side.
Miley's going to get a sprint on towards the byline, slides in, can't keep it in play. A little bit too much grease on the surface to slow that ball up, and it will be an Everton goal kick.
It's a key for the Everton supporters to leave the stadium once again en masse. It's been a poor performance from Everton today. There's no other way to dress it up. Defensive mistakes individually and collectively have cost them in what has been a really good Newcastle performance. Every time Newcastle have had the opportunity, they've been decisive and they've punished a poor Everton side.
Bright moment, probably from 10 minutes to the 25-minute mark, where Everton were in this game. They were 1-0 down, but the next goal looked like it might be theirs, but they never had that clear-cut chance. They've had a fair amount of the ball. They haven't looked disastrous, but they also haven't looked accomplished at the same time, and the scoreline reflects that Newcastle have quite simply taken the chances that they have been presented with as Everton do get into the penalty area. The cross will be looped behind the goal from Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. It deflects, so it's going to be an Everton corner.
Spoke before the game, didn't we, about the 6 changes that Eddie Howe made to the side today. A few eyebrows raised that Tonali was left on the bench. Gordon was raised on the bench. Ramsdale's come into the side. But as you said, they get the result. It'll be touted a genius. It's worked for them today, hasn't it? Really has worked for them.
Certainly has. We'll hopefully hear from Eddie Howe live into 6:06 with Chris Sykes. In goes the corner for Everton. Heads are up. Tieno Barry was in there. It's going to drop to Alcaraz, who's hit one from similar range earlier in this second half. That one skies over the bar, though. Goes into the Everton fans in that south stand. Away to our right. Well, actually goes into probably an empty chair in the south stand away to our right-hand side. That many have left. And it'll be a goal kick to Newcastle.
It's been one of those afternoons for Everton. It's been a really uncharacteristic performance. I'm sure David Moyes, this is one of those games where he'll go home and he'll scratch his head and say, not so sure, can't really put my finger on that today. Individual errors, defensive mistakes, but uncharacteristic defensive mistakes and individual errors from players Michael Keane, James Tarkowski, the goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who's so reliable. You know, that triangle of players, the trio of players, they're normally the bedrock of Everton's stability and strength. But actually it's not really come together for them in any way, shape or form today. It might even be one of those games where he goes, do you know what, let's put that to bed and we move on.
He's just unfolded his arms, David Moyes, and slammed them into his pockets of his thigh-length overcoat. A little bit of a breeze whips around the top of this brand new stadium on the banks of the Mersey. The old, now heavily greyed and blackened through air pollution stonework of the dockyards where the ships used to line up once upon a time. If on a clear day you look out through the glass panels behind the North Stand that are part of this smart featured brand new stadium, you can get a good vantage point across the Liverpool waterfront, the Liver building and the arts centres. But not tonight, not in these darkened skies, but also with the drizzle that is falling. It'll be a miserable trudge back to the cars in the town centre for Liverpool fans. Pickford's got his foot on the ball. He's under a bit of pressure from Voltemada. Sends it away with one of those bright lime green boots. His gloves to match as well. Coordinated outfit for Jordan Pickford, who's seen 4 goals go in the back of his net this evening on Merseyside. Beto is preparing to come on for the final 5 minutes or so. He's just jogging around on the edge of his technical area alongside David Moyes, who is motionless and doesn't utter anything to Beto. It'll probably be a simple message of, if you get a chance, great. If you don't, well, you've got some minutes in your legs.
Yeah, I think it's been a combination of too many individual players not performing to the level which hasn't allowed the team to play to any kind of level at all. You find it very, very hard to identify anyone in a blue shirt who's had a decent game today, in all honesty.
In the Scottish Premiership, by the way, second bottom at the start of the day. Kilmarnock had the lead against Dundee United. Dundee have equalised. So it's 1-1 in that game. That was a 5:45 kick-off. Here comes the change. Tieno Barry's going to go off. He'll feel a little aggrieved. He had the ball in the back of the net, but VAR chalked it off. His header came down onto his arm before his left-footed curling shot away from his body found the back of the net to get Everton what they thought at the time was first on the score sheet. They have since scored, but he'll go off and know that he still is yet to officially score in an Everton shirt.
I mean, you do have to feel for him, don't you? I mean, it was a very, very unfortunate handball off his head, rolled down his arm, and then it was kind of a matter of opinion. The VAR official deemed that there was enough contact on his arm, which he did. He looked to head the ball into the ground, hit his arm, and as I say, it wasn't a clean finish from it. It all came off the outside of his boot, looped into the net, and he scored it like it was the winner, didn't he? Celebrated it like it was the winner. You could see what it meant to him. It was the weight lifted off his shoulders, only to have it taken away from him. And we've just seen an image of him on the big screen in the stadium, sat on the dugout, head in his hands.
Yeah, you can see him bent over there. His head still in his hands, almost as if, I imagine, there's maybe a little bit of a watery eye there from Tieno Barry. I'm disappointed that he still can't get off the mark after his big money move from Villarreal. Newcastle leading this one by 4-1. What's interesting, in terms of goal difference, I know it's early days in the Premier League, I know things are tight, but when Newcastle took the lead for 1-0, they leapfrogged Everton into 11th. Everton were 12th. It's now 4-1 to Newcastle United, and Everton have now slipped below Manchester United, who play Crystal Palace at lunchtime tomorrow, and Liverpool, who go to West Ham in our 2:05 commentary at the London Stadium.
It's not too early. The clocks have gone back. You're allowed to look at the league table now. That's the official rule. Did you know that?
I didn't.
When the clocks go back, you can start looking at the table and making judgments.
unless you're a Sunderland fan, in which case I'm sure you've been looking at the league table since August the 10th or whenever the league started. And that opening day win over West Ham. A collision of players here. James Garner being one of them, Jacob Ramsey being the other. Double change on the way, triple change on the way for Newcastle United, leading as they are by 4-1. Tonali, Gordon and Cher are going to come on, so that's Anthony Gordon going to get a few minutes against his former club, just to add insult to injury, I think, of the night for Everton.
Interesting to see what type of reception he gets from the remaining Everton supporters inside the stadium. Bruno Gomes is the first one to come off. He's put in a shift today. He's been quite quiet, but effectively quiet. He's gone about his business, protected the back four, walks off slowly, hands the captain's armband to Dan Burn, turns, claps the supporters over in the far right-hand corner.
So he's off, Guimaraes. Tonali on in his place. Said he's taking his Newcastle future 1 year at a time, but he is happy. On Tyneside is Sandro Tonali. Also on, Fabian Cher. He replaces Lewis Hall at left back, or the left back comes off. Cher goes into the centre defence. Dan Burn comes out to left back. And there are a few boos for Anthony Gordon, who played 65 Premier League games for Everton, scored 7 goals in his time at Goodison Park. He's yet to score in the Premier League this season for Newcastle United. We'll see whatever is added on to see how long he's got maybe to change that record, but he's on. And he replaces Nick Voltemada, who got Newcastle's third just before half-time.
Yeah, wasn't warmly welcomed onto the pitch, was he? And that's a number that the Everton fans won't want to see. 5 more minutes to endure for those supporters that have remained in the stadium. I actually think there's more Newcastle supporters inside the stadium than there is Everton fans.
Yeah, there's not an empty seat to be seen in that northwest corner from where we're sat. And nobody sat down in the Newcastle away end on that bottom tier. It curves around at an angle. Away to our left-hand side, plenty of blue seats on display, even more head for the concourse every time the ball goes out of play. 4.5 minutes of added time to go. Everton 1, Newcastle 4 on BBC Radio 5 Live. Earlier today, Brentford 3-1 winners at home to Burnley. Manchester City, through Phil Foden, won it late after a Leeds fight back 3-2. Sunderland 2-0 down, beat Bournemouth at the Stadium of Light by 3-2 to move into the top 4 this evening. Plenty more to come on 5 Live tomorrow. Commentary on 5 Live of West Ham against Liverpool. Sports Extra will have the Grand Prix build-up and coverage. So on Sports Extra 2 you have Forest Brighton from 2 o'clock, you have Villa Wolves from 2 o'clock on Sports Extra 3. Before the big one at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea against Arsenal. 4:30 kickoff, the top 2 in the Premier League. Bayern Munich couldn't stop Arsenal in the week. Could Chelsea perhaps, Paul Robinson?
It's a mouth-watering clash, isn't it? One that we've been looking forward to. We spoke about the tests that keep coming for Arsenal. Tottenham Hotspur last week, which they dispatched of very easily. Bayern Munich in midweek, which they also dispatched of very easily. They seem to be answering all the questions that are being asked of them at the moment. Tough place to go, though, at the Bridge at the moment. You never quite know what you're going to get from Chelsea.
Chelsea beat Barcelona. That Estevao brilliant goal to help them to that 3-1 win on the night. Here's Dewsbury Hall, tries to flick it out towards the left-hand side, and Charlie Alcaraz, but he can't, although Newcastle then give it away. Here's Dwight McNeil, not much game time for him this season. Might have to be used a little bit more with Everton's midfield crisis at the minute. David Moyes did point out McNeil could play a central role if needed, but in this game started with Irabuna in place of Idrissa Gueye, who was of course suspended after his red card. Cross comes in from the left for Everton, deflects up into the air. Does that carry it into a helpful path? Beto goes to the bicycle kick. Jake O'Brien's in there. Newcastle have poked it away. I think the referee has called it back anyway for Beto's wild attempt at a bicycle kick. Is he given that for that reason? Newcastle free kick anyway, inside their own penalty area. They're leading by 4-1. 2 minutes of added time left.
Yep, Aaron Ramsdale got the ball in his hands. There's a free kick to Newcastle inside their own 18-yard box. Certainly won't be in a rush to take this. He'll run the clock down. The green shirts will push forward.
It is all over at Wembley, and what a performance on their homecoming at the National Stadium for England, Katie Smith.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about proper English performances in the summer at the Euros. That felt pretty proper and pretty easy for England against China. England 8, China 0. They carved them open time and time again. A hat-trick for Stanway, 2 in 2 minutes for Mead. Goals for Russo, Hemp and Toon as well. All established regulars, though, for Serena Wiegmann, who resisted the opportunity to throw on some untested players despite that one-sided scoreline. A clean sheet for Anna Morehouse on debut in goal. I think I counted just the one save she had to make. So England's homecoming continuing with a win at Wembley. England 8, China 0.
Katie, thank you. Newcastle not quite as comfortable as England, but not far from it, leading by 4 goals to 1 with just over a minute of added time to go. Then it's 6:06, 08, 085, 909 693. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton, your team, taking your calls tonight. Everton move it out to the left-hand side. McNeil's cross is over everybody in a blue shirt. Dan Burn can volley it away. Everton bring it down, but Newcastle have seen the danger away for now.
We're certainly celebrating the Newcastle fans. You can see a bit more skin than I'd like to. In fact, far too much more skin than needed at this time of year. But they've made the trip, as you say, down and across the country, and they don't get many away days to celebrate this season, and it's certainly a good day for them today.
Yeah, next away day in the Premier League for Newcastle is Sunderland. So that really will be a test.
I'm doing that game. I can't wait. Absolutely delighted to be doing that. That will be a crackling atmosphere up at the Stadium of the Light.
Some time since we've had a Tyne-Wear derby. Red and white taking on black and white. Right now it's blue against green. Everton's blue swinging across on the left-hand side. Newcastle's green should be able to see it away. Jacob Ramsey caught in possession on the edge of his own penalty area there. Everton have the ball, but 4-1 down with seconds remaining. It's only to perhaps make the scoreline a little less flattering to Newcastle. O'Brien and Dibbling, short passing between them. Dibbling nutmegs. Jacob Ramsey gets round him on the right-hand side. It's a tidy ball into Dewsbury Hall as well, who then takes the curling effort just high and wide away from Ramsdale's goal, and that is the last action of this match, where Newcastle United have finally got their first Premier League away win of the season. They were dominant in the first half. They took their chances as quick as 52 seconds when Malik Chow headed in from a corner. Lewis Miley with a half volley from the edge of the penalty area made it 2-0, although Pickford will be at fault for that. You can watch it back on Match of the Day tonight to have your assessment of Jordan Pickford's failed save. Nick Voltemada, with time in the penalty area, made it 3-0 at half-time. In the second half, Chow was added again, a back post header for him as Newcastle recycled the ball from a set piece. Late on, Dewsbury Hall got an attractive goal, bringing the ball down over his shoulder and rolling it into the bottom corner in a 2-touch move. But it was never going to save the day for Everton. The hope was only temporary. Newcastle managed the game well, and it has been an impressive performance from Eddie Howe's side. Everton 1, Newcastle 4. Paul Robinson.
An excellent away day for Newcastle, and we haven't had many times to say that this season. He rung the changes, Eddie Howe. He made 6 changes to the personnel before the kick-off. They set up with 4 at the back, 5 across the midfield. Voltemada up front on his own. The early goal certainly helped them, but they managed the game from that point. They never really looked in much danger. A really, really good performance. The fullbacks, Lewis Hall and Livramento, they looked a threat going forward. Guimaraes was quiet but effective. Voltemada led the line well. They always carried a threat, and Alanger and Barnes, and it was excellent away performance from those in green down there. The Everton performance, it'll disappoint David Moyes defensively, and I think the easiest way to sum up the Everton performance today, it was uncharacteristic, and most of the Everton supporters will be in the car listening to us now. I mean, it was very, very poor from them defensively. They caused themselves a lot of their own problems. Like I say, unlike them, but Newcastle won't mind. They were decisive, they were direct, they took their opportunities, and they were clinical in front of goal. A really good 3 points for Newcastle.
And those Newcastle players now head over to the northwest corner in the bottom tier, where their fans, no one has left early in that away end, can safely say that, and now they're applauding. Dan Burns got his arms aloft, as has Joe Linton, who was replaced just a few moments ago, but he's not put any tracksuit on. He's still there in his full Newcastle kit. Aaron Ramsdale will go over. Tidy performance from him, didn't have a lot to do. Dewsbury Hall's goal was just a moment of creativity from him that has to be applauded, but that is a good performance from Eddie Howe's side. What will that do now? Eddie Howe has been asked about this away form consistently throughout the season. the media are going to have to find something else to try and pin on Newcastle now.
Well, coming into this game, the stats didn't add up for them, did it? I mean, you look at their performances at home, especially their last performance against Manchester City. They beat Athletic Club at home 2-0. They beat Manchester City at home. They beat Spurs at home in the EPL Cup. They beat Fulham, Benfica. And then they go away on the road and they lose games away at West Ham that you wouldn't expect them to lose. And the record on the road, the defeat against Marseille as well. He had to change something, Eddie Howe, and he did that today. Winless in their last 9 away from home before this, drawing 4, losing 5. 1 win in their last 11 away from home in all competitions. So you can't underestimate the magnitude of what they've done today. They've not only changed it and come away from home, they've not just nicked a performance, they've not nicked a result. They've come here, they've dominated from start to finish. They've scored 4 past a good Everton side, who are normally a good Everton side, I must add, because they weren't today. And it's an excellent 3 points for Newcastle.
Newcastle fans and players still applauding one another. Eddie Howe's got a big smile on his face and looks promisingly towards those Newcastle fans. They'll hope it can really kickstart them now and build a bit of momentum. Spurs at home in midweek to start building a little bit of run of form. Back-to-back wins in the Premier League for the first time this season for Newcastle. Where Everton are concerned, their players have trudged off quickly down the tunnel. You did allude to it in commentary, and I think it was a fair comment that it was just one of those days. There wasn't any glaring errors from Everton. Newcastle took their chances.
It's a head-scratching performance from Everton, especially on the back of their last 2 results. I mean, the win here against Fulham, the 2-0 win here, good performance, great atmosphere, another good performance at home, a clean sheet. The performance last time out against Manchester United was superb. I know they were down to 10 men, they had to dig in, and they ground out a result. When they went down to 10 men, I, like a lot of other people, probably Everton fans too, sat there and watched the TV and thought, OK, I wonder how many this is going to be now. It's going to be a long evening. It's going to be a difficult night for Everton. They showed togetherness. They were combative. They dug in. They got the clean sheet. Not only did they get the clean sheet, at that point when they were down to 10 men, David Moyes would have taken a point. I guarantee he'd have taken a point. They got a fantastic result. They got a clean sheet. They win at Old Trafford. This performance today from Everton hasn't been coming, and that's the thing that'll frustrate David Moyes. When we hear from him after the game, I'm sure that's what he'll say, but I don't know where that's come from, because in the recent weeks, that performance, there's been no sign of it.
Paul, thank you. We will hopefully hear from David Moyes into 6:06 with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. That's next. Earlier today then in the Premier League, Brentford beat Burnley 3-1. Chris will be able to talk about Manchester City beating Leeds at the Etihad. He was there for 5 Live earlier. City 2-0 up. Leeds got it back to 2-2, but Phil Foden won it late on. Sunderland from 2-0 down beat Bournemouth, 10-man Bournemouth by 3-2. And here at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, Newcastle rampant. First half certainly, they've beaten Everton by 4-1. At 8 o'clock tonight, we'll bring you updates of Tottenham against Fulham in the Premier League. But now, at 7:30 on BBC Radio 5 Live, it is time for 6:06.
Are you ready to have your say in the UK's biggest football debate? Your teams, your views. Get ready. This is 6:06 with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton on 5 Live.
Yes, a very good evening to you. It's time for you to have your say about your club on 6:06. Chris and I taking the calls until 9 o'clock tonight. Some thrilling games to react to in the Premier League today. Manchester City left it very late against Leeds.
This is Foden inside the penalty area. Foden keeps his balance, gets the shot away and scores. Phil Foden finds a way. An injury time goal to break the hearts of Leeds United.
Chris, I listened to you, Andy and Dennis at the Etihad today. Great effort from Leeds in the second half there. Do you think City were a little bit lucky to walk away with the 3 points?
I think so, Bruce. Better to be lucky than good. I thought City were good in the first half, but Leeds United, Daniel Farke, often accused of not being proactive with his substitutions, put Dominic Calvert-Lewin on. He changed the game. I think that Leeds fans need to have faith in Farke.
OK, Leeds fans, what do you make of it? Chris and I both triple captained Erling Haaland in FPL. That went well. Manchester City fans, what do you make of the way your team's playing at the moment? The number to dial is 08085 909 693. Earlier on, Sunderland moved back into the top 4.
Corner from the left, swung in here, headed goalwards in. Roby! It's 3-2 to Sunderland. Woo! 3-2. In the 70th minute, Brian Broby heads in the third for Sunderland.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Call free 08085 909 693. Text 85058. Text will be charged at your standard message rates. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live terms for our terms of use and privacy notice.
How about that?